nice and slow. Your laughter ripples like sweet warm wine. In this jazzy sultry space you're mine. The saxophone croons a velvet tune, while melodies dance beneath the moon. We'll toast to moments both grand and small, in this hazy, lazy, jazz-touched hall. But let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you. Your eyes, they sparkle with every click. Sweet rendezvous over a simple drink. We'll share our secrets in whispers low, just you and me where the jazz flows slow. The world outside fades into the mist, but here it's our own dreamy tryst. With each sip our worries drift away. Let's stay together till the break of day. So let's sit together in the mellow night. We'll drink to love till the morning light. Every glass we raise a promise true. Here's to the magic in a drink with you.
The following live stream has been approved for appropriate audiences. It may contain occasional strong language and may not be suitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer inebriation is advised, though not mandatory.
So tonight we go from Return of the King to Return of the Doctor. Actually, that would have worked better if we were talking about Christopher Eccleston, but we did that last week. Anyway, when last we left the Doctor, he had just regenerated into David Tennant. Rose didn't know what to make of him, and neither did we, but we were going to find out quickly. Let's talk about the most popular Doctor since Tom Baker. Get comfortable, top off your glasses, tell me what you're sipping on in the chat, and we'll kick off this Canarble wagon just as quickly as you can say,
Allons-y. Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
Well, this time I didn't mute myself. Great, that's wonderful for once. Vasalu, welcome. So good to see all of you. Boy, what a week it's been. I don't know about you, but, well, you can probably tell by the glass. You know what we're doing tonight.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken!
The Kraken!
Why is the rum always gone?
Well, I'm counting on all of you to make sure that the rum's not gone, because, well, I'm more fun when I drink. At least that's what I think. And that seems to be what a lot of you all think, too. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad all of you are here. I hope you are all doing well. Let me first start by saying hi to my tin dog. No, that's not right.
I'm not the tin dog.
You're absolutely not. You're my best companion. Netter of Netters Network. How you doing, my dear? What are you sipping on tonight?
I mean, it even says in my icon,
Mm.
I am not the Tin
I
Dog.
am not the Tim Dog.
Yes.
Exactly right.
I am currently sipping on a Diet Dr. Pepper because I wanted something a little different, but I'll probably
That's
switch
fair.
back to my water after this one is finished. And yeah, it's been a week. I got some extra duties assigned to me at work, and one of them I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, I understand.
Once the initial ick is over, it'll be fine. But
It'll
it's
be
doing the
fine.
setup stuff is going to be such a pain in the butt.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, salute and cheers. And so we got Aged Boomer being the David Tennant Aged Boomer.
Yes. Hi.
What you sipping on?
I have myself a Callaway Blue, though I should be having an orange IC in a little bit. I'll be getting it delivered, so.
Wow, really snazzy.
I like the orange IC. They don't have that in Britain, do they? Well, maybe they do. I don't know.
I would imagine not, because they don't have artificial colorings and all that kind of stuff, and pretty soon we won't either. Just
more orange than orange.
Yep. If you can't get your color from the natural items that you're putting into it, then maybe you shouldn't be coloring it. That's all I'm saying. Just saying. Let's say hi to the chat. That's what I'm saying. Starting with channel member JPRPH1 dropping the Canarble wagon, the fedora, the brown mumbler, and the channel logo. Welcome, my friend. Always good to see you. You are a wonderful supporter of the channel, as is the bird woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary, saying hello to everybody.
You know, one thing I really like about Connie is after her stream is over,
Yep.
she goes back and she puts a comment on each stream saying thank you.
Absolutely.
I adore her for that.
And it, and I think she knows this too. It helps the engagement. It lets YouTube know that people like us. You really, really like us.
Exactly. It's extra interaction that YouTube sees, and I super appreciate that.
Absolutely. Also appreciate Curtis Selby, the tired midnight blogger himself. Welcome, my friend. Make sure that you're subscribed to his channel, and if he starts a new channel and rebrands, just saying, we'll want to get over there and get him up and running as quickly as possible. And of course,
I would have him as a guest on Thursday. Things you can hear all about it.
Big launch party if that happens. I'm just saying if. Let's see here. Big Al presents. We were just hanging out with him for the past couple hours. Thanks for joining Films with Friends, guys. Have a great show. Yes, as I alluded to, I don't think I alluded to it. I said it right out. We were watching Return of the King, finishing out the animated trilogy of Tolkien films.
How'd you like it?
Thank you. I did. I really did like it. It's a long, not a long film. It's not. It's what, about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But they squeeze so much in and they cut so much out in order to make it happen. But
there's an excuse for that, though, in the film.
There absolutely is.
It is a bard retelling the story, so the bard is leaving things out.
Yes, it's a slimmed and in the real world it's slimmed down because they really didn't get to do the two towers.
No, they didn't.
Batchke kind of did the
part of it.
Yeah, he did part of it, and he did the what's it called, the Lord of the Rings. And you just live with it. It's like, well, okay. And so they go back and they kind of do a lot of exposition. But I thought they did it in a really good Rankin and Bass kind of way.
I like the voice of the Nazgul.
Yeah.
He's creepy. I'm sorry.
And I decided as we were watching it, because Tim had suggested, hey, how about a rewatch of now all of the Peter Jackson films? And Big L was like,
sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
That's good. Just stay quiet. I'm talking to you. Big Al was like, yeah, that could be months of rewatch. And I'm like, I said, now that I think about it, I have the fan edit of the Hobbit, the 3 films.
Oh.
actually the story that Tolkien told. I said, I think I'm going to put that up as a poll to see if the members would like to watch that on Members Night at the Movies. Remember,
interesting.
membership is as low as $2 a month, and you get a rewatch every Monday with me. And you guys get to choose what movie we'll be watching. So consider becoming a member if you aren't already. I already said hello to this schmo. But I better be nice to him because he's my designated driver. And I already said hi to this beautiful woman, my bouncer. You better be nice to her or she'll kick you out of here.
I'm small, but I'm feisty.
Actually, the fact is, she could kick us out of here too, Boomer, so we really better be nice to her.
Can I do that again?
Yeah, right. Jesse Green, welcome. See, that's the one advantage we have. I haven't shown her how to do everything yet. I gave her the rights to do it, but I haven't shown her how to do it yet.
You should ask.
What I know how to do is play the outro and end the broadcast.
You got to start somewhere, right?
You should
Jesse Green, welcome.
You should ask Alexa who her favorite Doctor from Doctor Who is.
I will do that. Alexa, who is your favorite Doctor from Doctor Who?
Well, there have been many greats to play the leading role of Doctor Who. I'm particularly fond of the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant.
Did you know she was going to say that?
I didn't, actually. I didn't.
Did you set me up for that?
I did not.
That was brilliant.
I've never asked her.
Oh, that was so good.
It dawned on me today. I wonder what she thinks of Doctor Who.
That was just too perfect. Salute, deleted scenes. We were hanging out with you over there in the Return of the King rewatch. He says, as he does, because he knows how important it is. Like, share, subscribe, and become a member if you want me to keep doing this stuff. I need you guys to support me that way. It's the only way I can justify continuing to do what we do here. Hello, everybody, says Geek Flag with Nate Knows 1973. He sent me yet again a great little monologue that I didn't have a chance to edit. So I'm just going to have to read off what he sent to me, which I will do before we get started. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to do that, but that's how it goes. Troy's got a Thor mug. There you go. Absolutely. Welcome, Darth Plato. Another channel member, great supporter. And speaking of great support, Nate sends a $2 super chat to say, I'm taking it light and sipping on root beer. That is awesome. A good root beer can make you feel as giddy as alcohol, in my opinion. CluuStudio, also a channel member. Salute, Troy, Netter, and the third guy, Crown Royal. Good.
Also dropped a $5 super chat saying, Alexa, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Well, nonetheless, thank you for the $5 super chat. We'll put that towards our Amazon Prime subscription.
Actually, I'm going to buy some banana Malibu rum with that.
I know. We just recently found out that Malibu does a banana flavored rum, and that is, of course, something that Netter would very much enjoy. Tim Hayes, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. He says, hail, Papa Pacelli. Good to see you. And another person that I have missed who has not been around for a while. Good evening, Leia Plus Size. Listening while doing some late spring cleaning. Spring cleaning. We are still waiting on the somewhat warmer weather. And then I've got to get out into the garage. There's actually some toys that I need to get out of there and dust off so that I can send them to Tony over at Analog Toys, all the way over there in Oz. I have promised them to him since Christmas. Promised them, though he doesn't know exactly what it is I'm sending him. And you won't either until he gets them and if he wants to do an opening
Yeah, we'll
video.
just
That's
have
up
to
him.
put a second mortgage on our house to pay for the postage, but yeah, we'll get them there.
I always lie. Do you believe me? I believe no one till I see the proof. I trust but verify. Malibu does banana mango and watermelon along with their regular coconut. Interesting. Let's see here. Saying hi to each other. And Final Fantasy Fan 012, allons-y. Welcome. Good to see you. I think that is as good a place to start as any. Before we get to the presentation, I do want to read that opening scroll that Nate sent to me.
Cool.
He said, "I know tonight's doctor is David Tennant, but I feel we can't possibly discuss David Tennant without talking about Christopher Eccleston, the one doctor." Let me zoom in because it's actually a little bit small. Hopefully that doesn't change all of my screens. The man who brought the doctor in from the cold of his long winter. Eccleston's doctor had a darkness about him. Yes, he could be at times playful and lighthearted, but there was a weight behind his performance. That's why I never liked the idea of the war doctor. The doctor did what he had to do to save all space and time by ending the time war, and the only way to do that cost him his whole world. And I always believe that it was Christopher Eccleston's doctor did that. He saw it with those eyes. He did it with those hands. That's why in the episode The Empty Child, when he says those words, "This one time everyone lives." Yeah, that's right. He said it with a joyful sadness that this time he can solve a problem and cause no death or destruction. In some small way, give him a grace of forgiveness for what he had done. And when David Tennant has to be menacing or threatening, he's only picking up what Eccleston had put down. Well, that's my 2 cents. Your humble contributor, Geek Flag with Nate Knows 1973. I will say, I agree 100% with everything he said. It really is true, except, and this is probably a good pivot point to our presentation. Actually, my designated driver would know better than I would because he put the presentation together. I always felt so. The first episode with Christopher Eccleston, Rose, right? You see the story from Rose's point of view. Rose was a great companion to be the audience insert. So this is, in my opinion, how you reboot a franchise. You don't throw out the canon of the original, so you don't lose any of the old fans, but you find a way to introduce the new fans so they don't feel like they're missing out on anything. And that's exactly what a companion is for. That's what Rose is there for. She's coming in the middle of a story and has no idea, just like we are. And when the doctor says, "Hi, I'm the doctor. What's your name? Rose?" Run. And they're in the middle of the adventure. And he starts explaining things to her as they go. They go back to her flat, and one of the first things he does as he walks in is he walks past a mirror. And he stops and he looks at the mirror and he looks at himself and he examines his ears as if it's his first time seeing himself.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I agree with Nate. He should have at least, that should have been the doctor from the time where they could have even had Paul McGann and him be,
I'll explain why I disagree with both of you on that. Okay. So we're coming in with and not only are we being introduced with Rose, we're being introduced with a very recently regenerated doctor, right? So he's fairly new to himself as well. dealing with the PTSD and all that kind of stuff. But where I agree with you about the War Doctor, it shouldn't have been the War Doctor. It should have been Paul McGann.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind, it was always Paul McGann.
We'll get to it next week. Yeah.
Who fought through the Time War, and then we just didn't see the regeneration from Paul McGann to Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion on the whole story. But we did need the PTSD doctor, which is what how I refer to Christopher Eccleston, in order to get to David Tennant. This was a year of adjustment for the Doctor, where he is coming to grips with a new reality for him, right? A continuing to adventure in space and time, but now without the Time Lords to answer to or to help him when necessary. We did gloss over a little bit Eccleston. Maybe we didn't give him his due, but we see
enough time on him.
We did. We there was one episode where he asks Rose, where does she want to go? And she wants to go see her dad. So he gives her all these warnings, your dad, you can't change history. It'll screw all kinds of things up. And what immediately happens, she ends up, screwing around with history. She saves her dad from getting killed. She holds herself as a baby. These are all things that for the Doctor was absolute no-nos, and it causes all kinds of havoc. And it's a situation that what the Doctor says is this never would have happened if my people were still around. They had safeguards in place. Now we have these extra dimensional entities coming through to whatever, which reminds
reality.
Yeah, I would have loved if we had good writers and showrunners instead of chin balls and PTSD, a chronic grief RTD. If we had somebody who thought through the continuing story after Stephen Moffat, I would have liked to have seen the return of the Time Lords, maybe facilitated by the Doctor, but when they start to institute new safeguards on time, just like those flying entities from that episode that I was just talking about, but the entities they grab are the Weeping Angels, and they turn the Weeping Angels into kind of indentured servants. When time gets all messed up, that's when they're allowed to feed. You go get the people that that screwed up time, and you do to them what you do to them, and you can feed off of their time energy, and it restores the timeline. Anyway, that was just my thought. But so what happens is we have a post-traumatic stress, post-Time War Doctor dealing with his grief, and just as Batman needs Robin to keep him from going too dark, the Doctor has Rose to anchor him to a kind of humanity that he would have otherwise lost. In so doing, he does have great moments of for as you said, like the empty child, everyone lives, and then sacrifices himself to save Rose after Rose was basically doing the same thing. In that last episode, she takes in all of the time energy from the Eye of Harmony in the TARDIS to, kind of Deus Ex Machina what are they called? The Daleks away, but it's burning her up. So the Doctor says, you can't stay like this. You'll die. So he takes all the energy from her, puts it back into the TARDIS, but now it's killing him, and he regenerates, and she's This is for the newer audience as well as Rose. They don't understand regeneration. So those of us that have been around, I was like, oh, he's regenerating. Yeah. Okay, let's see who the new guy is. Everyone else is kind of freaking out, including Rose. And that's where we probably start tonight.
So, yes, let's go forward. We start with, here we are. There's the big old picture.
It's Rose, yeah.
This is considered by many of the new Who fans, this is like the classic era, kind of like our Tom Baker era, if you think about it.
I agree.
We begin with the Christmas invasion. We talked about it a little bit last week. This is our first Christmas special.
Yep.
Doctor had recently regenerated, and of course, aliens are going to invade the Earth or some such. Do you remember a lot of this? I remember he got angry at the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister decides to shoot the alien craft down as it peels away.
Exactly, which of course
did like a Klingon thing where he had a fight with the main alien guy.
So the Sigaracs are invading the Earth, and this is where we start a lot of great new lore building. And especially with a Doctor who is coming off of a rather challenging. It's in a lot of ways, it's almost like we saw with Peter Davison, with Colin Baker, where you get this idea that sometimes the regeneration doesn't go so well.
Well, he absorbed something from the Eye of Harmony, so
exactly. So he was having a bit of a challenge here. So. And he does point out to Rose that he's still sorting himself out. He still doesn't know who he is. And he even has this great, I don't know what you call it, this soliloquy that he says to the leader of the Zigaracs. He says, I don't know, who I am. I'm a, dude in my gym jams, getting ready to fight. But that's what I guess I am. I'm a fighter,
On Christmas morning in your jams. That's about
on Christmas morning, yeah. and he says, but I guess what I am is I'm a fighter, and I fight for I fight for the Earth, and I fight for whatever. And he ends up killing the leader of the Zigaracs.
Well, he gave him a chance because he said he beat him, and then the guy still, when he turns around, he still tries to some more second chances. He said, "I'm done." I tried.
So, but and you get the impression that this Doctor, this John Pertwee, Tom Baker era, that we're like, I don't kill. I'm more Zen than that. Tom Baker, do I have the right to exterminate the, no pun intended, the, whole race,
right.
All that kind of stuff. That's done. He's been through war. He's been, responsible for the complete genocide from his perspective of two races. At least, maybe more, really.
But he still gets angry when the Prime Minister orders the hit.
Yes, he does. So now you see a reset for him. It's okay. Yeah. I don't kill, but I will minimize killing. And, he sees that as acceptable. If I have to kill one to save thousands, maybe millions, okay, that's fair. He's
met with the horrible decisions, that he's had to do.
Exactly. So, but then what we get is the lore building of, we realize that Unit is still around.
Yeah.
Right. And we get some mention of Torchwood.
That was who made the decision. It was Torchwood.
Exactly. And you start to find out there's these shadow agencies going on. And honestly, it's kind of brilliant. It kind of makes sense. We started to get a little bit of that of Unit back in the John Pertwee era. But you realize with all this extraterrestrial stuff going on,
you're going to have other government agencies form.
Yeah. It's like, look, Doctor, you're not always going to be around. And this is the natural progression of us having to learn how to protect ourselves. And we are not as advanced as these aliens coming here. We need to make it very clear. We will F you up to the extent that we are able to protect ourselves. Stay the hell away.
Maybe get their hands on some alien technology too.
Yeah.
I often thought that was part of Torchwood. But he asked Rose, is my appearance okay with you? She says yes. because I guess she thinks he's good.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got behind on the chats, but
Yes.
thank you for the $2 super chat, Nate. He's saying, "Preach, brother, preach." I was talking about when I was talking about the Eccleston eras. Okay, yeah, you guys are talking to each other. Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips. I'm going to be Netter and I are going to be joining him for a watch party of Tron and Tron Legacy on, I want to say it's May 3rd, whatever that Saturday is. I can't remember if that's the 3rd or the 5th or what it is, but I will let all of you know when that is. Keep an eye on my community tab. The Tennant era was the era I introduced my nephew to Doctor Who. When he was a little boy, he would watch it with me all the time as a kid. He is still a fan now. Is he still watching New Who? I mean, well, I mean, that's no, we won't get into that. Let's get back to David Tennant. So yeah, we get this whole. We realize that maybe he's going to be at odds sometimes with the humans he's actually trying to protect. Yeah, and we were also introduced to Rose's mom.
No, we were introduced to her last season.
Well, we were. That's true.
She actually helped her restore the TARDIS to get back to the future, and because she was at least telling Rose, "Give this up, live your life here." And Rose, but then she actually comes around and helps Rose in the end, which I thought was interesting character development on the mom's part. But
she, of course, is in a lot of ways the comedic character.
Yes.
She there's this great bit about, "I never thought I would die being murdered by a Christmas tree," or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the line was, but it's actually kind of brilliant. Oh, and the other thing is you get one of your first, well, maybe it's not, because we had Captain Jack in previous episodes, right? But we're establishing that we're now going to do some tongue-in-cheek adult humor, because as he's convalescing after his regeneration, Rose says something about he's an alien. He's got 2 hearts. And she looks at him and she goes, "Really? Is there anything else he has 2 of?"
It's a good question. Anyway, but this was the Christmas special, the first of the Christmas specials that would become an annual tradition over in England, and would not become an annual tradition over here in the United States or North for a little while. But yeah,
I would argue that the first Doctor Who Christmas episode was an episode way back during the first Doctor's era. It was called The Feast of Stephen.
Oh.
And it wasn't really like this one,
King
Christmas.
Stephen?
It wasn't really a well, they played on that, yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't a Christmas themed episode, only that as they were hitting different points in time, in one quick brief moment, they materialized somewhere where it was Christmas, and then they left. And at the end, in the epilogue, of the story, I think, was it Susan who brings out a tray of eggnog or something like that. "Happy Christmas, everyone." And he's like, "Oh, that's right. When we stopped at such and such, it was Christmas, wasn't it? Well, happy Christmas, everybody." And
there you go.
You. And William Hartnell turns and breaks the fourth wall and looks right into the camera and says, "And happy Christmas to all of you at home."
That was nice.
Yeah.
The kids at home. Yeah.
No, my nephew does not watch it now, but I mean, he likes to go back and look back at the good years of True Who, the new, like so many of us. Yeah, so he really is. He really is a true fan. Final Fantasy says David Tennant, the Doctor Who, no pun intended, has a South London accent instead of his natural Scottish burr. But there is an episode where he and Rose, and we may be coming up to that. They actually end up fighting a werewolf in Scotland. No.
Werewolves in London.
No, they weren't in London, though. That's just it. They meet Queen Elizabeth. And was it Queen Elizabeth? No, Queen Victoria.
Victoria.
I'm sorry, Queen Victoria. And when he first meets the doctor affects a Scottish accent. There you go. Very good. Queen Victoria. He affects a Scottish accent and he refers to himself as who was the Scottish companion from the
Jamie,
was it Jamie Crimmins?
I think so.
That's the name he claims.
Yes.
And his accent goes in and out, and Queen Victoria calls him on it. He's like, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm being duplicitous.
Queen Victoria, I know I think they're werewolves in this, right, or something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, they're she is not. Yeah.
They deal with the lore about the Hope Diamond and the curse behind it.
Oh yeah.
And you come to realize that the royal family, and there was all this talk about the royal family having a blood disease, which this is all actual history. Well, it turns out that there was some alien influence that was causing what would be interpreted as lycanthropy, turning into a werewolf and all this kind of stuff.
Like on the full moon or something. They
had used the Hope Diamond. It had special properties that you take moonlight and it would, I don't know, it would stave off the change. Or I actually am kind of forgetting the whole story. But
she was not happy with the doctor at the end of this episode, and I remember,
and rightly so.
And she goes, "We're going to start an organization to combat things like this, and we will call it Torchwood." And then it sets up centuries in advance what we see in the present of the Christmas invasion.
Exactly. He's already seen the ultimate results of it, but here you're seeing the why of it. And it's really difficult for the doctor to argue because he gets such a dressing down from Victoria. Because it's kind of pointed out to him, you have this very cavalier attitude about all this stuff. You don't look at it from our point of view. We're trying to friggin' survive here against things we can't even possibly begin to understand. And you're not always around to save the day. So you are not in a position to judge us for what we need to do to protect ourselves.
It's actually in the Tennant era. We'll get to this more in the third series that he's in, how the doctor sometimes doesn't quite understand humans. He gets a little arrogant sometimes, and it kind of costs him sometimes. Yeah.
So Darth Plato says, fun fact, Victoria always wore black after Prince Albert died in 1861. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do we know that, we helped make reproductions of a couple of those black dresses that she wore for reenactment events. So we know very intimately the gowns that she wore. And when we were on Queen's duty, we weren't protecting the Queen. We were protecting the dress.
Yes, and those sleeves were murdered, put together and put on.
Yeah.
That was I think the hardest part of putting the dress together were the sleeves.
Yeah, I did. I do the sleeves on your tea gown.
I think you tried to help me, but I still ended up doing it myself. And one is slightly puffier than the other.
It's just murder. It's just absolute murder. I did not do that part on Victoria's dress. Let me tell you.
Nope.
So
I did do some of the handwork. Because I was just pretty meticulous about that. But
the name of that episode was
Bad Wolf.
Tooth and Claw. I must have skipped. Oh, I skipped New Earth because I didn't care. I'm sorry, that's mean. I'm sure people like that episode. That was where everybody.
Yeah, New Earth was great if you're really into the lore of the future history of Earth. It was, and it was kind of cool because you get to meet the last, human from Earth. When in a way, actually Rose is also one of the last person from Earth, but she is still, in human form, whereas the last human has been kept alive by artificial means and doesn't even look human.
It looks like Saran wrap.
Yeah, exactly. Which I always felt was like a tongue-in-cheek poke at people that get a lot of
plastic
work
surgery.
done.
Yeah.
Okay.
The return of this was a class reunion, I think it was called.
School reunion.
Which brings back Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane and K9.
Yep.
And it also goes on to establish the canonicity of the previously unreleased. No, was it released? I can't remember now. No, it was released. They did a pilot for
K9 and Company.
It was K9 and Company, although it was really badly named. I think it was just a marketing ploy because it was a spin-off for Sarah Jane, and it was going to focus on Sarah Jane and K9 kind of doing their own thing on Earth. And this kind of established that, she had a whole bunch of adventures that we never saw. That series in universe actually happened. We just didn't see all the adventures.
Yep.
So
there we go. And this was a fun episode. And there was kind of a bittersweetness here, though. Like Sarah Jane said, she was never the same after he left, and all this, and like how sometimes the companions aren't so well off after the Doctor leaves them, right?
Yeah. So this one was kind of cute. This was I can't remember who wrote the episode, if it was Russell T Davies or someone else, who actually paid attention to the storyline that the Doctor left her not exactly where she was supposed to be. She actually had to. She wasn't like in front of her house. She had to travel.
Yeah, and she said something like, "Is this even Kensington?"
Yeah, exactly. And they jumped on that and like, no, it wasn't. And he just left her there, and but it was brilliant. It was like for the Sarah Jane fans, the old time fans, it was like that this was the primary touchstone to all the canon that went before. It's like, no, all the stuff that we saw before, that all happened. That's all canon. We're keeping that alive. This was why the fans were able to embrace this new era of Doctor Who. And it was very touching too. I think almost every episode that Liz Sladen was in the new era brought a tear to my eye. There was a great bit at the very end where when she realizes that he's the Doctor, she's not too fazed by it because she'd already seen John Pertwee to Tom Baker. But the 10th Doctor responds to her exactly as you would expect the Doctor to respond, like seeing an old friend. And when he's saying goodbye to her and he goes, my Sarah Jane, it's like,
Yeah, my Sarah Jane. And you were always my Sarah Jane. Geekflex says we should do an episode about our favorite companions. Maybe in the future. We'll have some time lapse between now and then, but maybe our top 10 companions. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite companions tonight, actually. So that's good. But moving on, though, we have...
Wait a minute. Rose and
Mickey Smith.
Oh, for crying out loud. I was going to say, if Rose or Sarah Jane aren't your favorite companion, what the hell, man? No, we are going to talk about my favorite companion.
Oh, interesting.
But neither of those two.
Well, we're going to move on.
Sarah Jane is almost there. She's like a very close second. Well, I'll tell you who.
No, my favorite companion is Sarah Jane. My second favorite companion is K9.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Well, my favorite companion really is Chameleon. I mean, he was incredible for the 1.5 episodes he was. I'm kidding. He's
the George Lazenby of the companion.
Oh man, what? I just don't understand, dude. We can't get the robot to operate. It's a chameleon robot. You can just pick an actor and have him pretend to be Chameleon, and they'll just be like,
that was the whole point. Yes, just like
find
the
an actor to play him, and
this
is how I look like when I'm not the robot. I look like this. They didn't do that. Anyway, moving on to I kind of skipped the Girl in the Fireplace episode, but That had Mickey Smith in it.
That one was
should've-
by Stephen Moffat.
Okay, that might be why I skipped it.
Um,
I'm sorry. I'll be good. I'm sorry.
Stephen Moffat, I think, wrote the best Doctor Who episodes when he wasn't a showrunner.
Fine.
He took great advantage of the time travel element to tell good stories, which is not something you can necessarily say of all the eras of Doctor Who. They played fast and loose with time travel, and they didn't make maximum use of it. Whereas I feel like Stephen Moffat really did. The Girl in the Fireplace tells the story of Madame de Pompadour in a very interesting, almost kind of a love story, idea that the Doctor, could actually have feelings for somebody.
Okay. Well, we'll touch on that later in a later episode.
In a very, very creepy
Let's go to the Cybermen. Let's just do it. All right. We have the two-parter, The Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. This is the introduction of the Cybermen on this Doctor Who series. Instead of them coming from Mondas, instead, the Doctor and Rose and Mickey Smith end up traveling to an alternative Earth where things are different. Great Britain has, of course, blimps in the air because on all alternative Earths there are always blimps.
Fringe.
Yes. No, not fringe. It's not blimp. What am I looking for? Dirigibles. There you go. That's always a thing.
I want to say hello to Evelyn Hampton. Good evening, everyone. Sorry that I'm going to guess you're going to say can't stay. Evelyn, I know you haven't been feeling well, but I appreciate you stopping by to say hi. I will be in touch very soon. I hope you are feeling better, much better, very, very soon.
Anyway, yeah, so here's a big two-parter. They end up in an alternative Britain. This Britain has a president instead of a prime minister.
And that gentleman in the lower left there is Rose's father. I mentioned him in the previous season with Christopher Eccleston, same actor. So in other words, she's like, oh my gosh, my father's alive. And he's like, oh my gosh, I have a daughter in another universe.
And he is a rich businessman on this Earth because, as you know, in the original one, he kept trying businesses and they kept failing, remember? And his wife always picked on him for that. But no, on this Earth, he actually became a multimillionaire billionaire. He actually figured something out on this alternate Earth. And he's still married to her mom, but they never had her in this alternate Earth. And
yes, you remember who Rose is in this universe? She hears her say something about Rose.
Yeah. No, I don't remember. Oh, I see. Funny.
I think it was a little yip dog,
like a Chihuahua or something, or like a Paris Hilton dog. I remembered Mickey Smith's, I think, grandmother was alive in this universe, and he felt bad because she had died in his universe, and now she's alive, but she has no one look. And I think did he die in this? Oh no, wait, hold on. There's another Mickey Smith in this universe, as I recall.
Yes,
right?
there is.
And
he's called Ricky. He's called Ricky in this universe.
Yes, I remember that, and I think he gets killed, if memory serves, fighting the Cybermen, and then Mickey stays behind to take care of Ricky's grandmother and pretend to be him. Yes, I remember that.
Which was kind of a nice thing, yeah. Darth Plato says, was that supposed to be Britain as a republic? That's a great question. They don't answer questions like that, but there is a lot of implications that would allow you to imagine things, explanations like that. They'll just drop a line like the president of England, and you can imagine what implications are related to that.
So here we start my first big beef with New Who. I don't like the Cybermen. There, I said it. I don't like these new Cybermen. No.
I'm wondering if you and I, because I don't disagree with you, but I'll be interested to see if you and I feel that way for the same reason. Okay. But I was able to, eschew the problem here, saying, you know what? But these Cybermen aren't the same Cybermen.
They aren't. They're not the
They're
Von Dad
they're an alternate
Cybermen.
universe Cybermen. So if they're not quite right out,
I'm trying to like them. Let me put it to you that way. They have guns built into their arms instead of having the cool pistols they had in the old show. They apparently the
There's a
voices
certain
they
logic
used,
to that, though, if you think about
the
it.
voices for them actually were the voices they used in the Big Finish productions, so they were kind of keeping it in line with that.
Sure.
I know the Doctor makes some point about how you think you're evolving or something, but this you've just stopped. This is where you are, and this is where you'll always be. That kind of bothered me because I consider the Cybermen an advanced alien enemy that were not this. Of course, I think Neil Gaiman actually sort of fixes that later on, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these were the Cybermen we got, and they were my favorite Doctor Who baddie from the old show. They're here again. So they and actually, what's interesting about setting things on an alternate Earth, you can do a lot. Like you can have the Cybermen actually doing a lot of damage on this alternate Earth, and the Doctor has to stop them. So, like on this alternate Earth, like the regular people aren't ignorant of all this stuff now. Now they've dealt with it themselves. And I'll say this: I have complained that Doctor Who doesn't deal with terrestrial threats, but I would argue on this Earth, the Cybermen are kind of a terrestrial threat. They're from the human race.
In a way, this is another kind of. This is not the same Earth, but it does kind of nod to that episode during the John Pertwee era. Was it John Pertwee? I think it was John Pertwee, where he travels to an alternate Earth, kind of a mirror universe.
That was Inferno, but I as you know, I love that. That might be one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite.
I agree with you, but again, it is, and we also talked about it at the time. There was also the episode where he travels to end space or whatever it was. Was that it?
Yeah, but that's a different thing. That's another universe.
But it is alternate universe.
But it's not alternate Earth. It's another. Just
right. No, you're right.
Here's the deal.
Well, keep in mind when you're talking about alternate universes, there might be a universe where there is no Earth. So, which end space is arguably.
I'll be blunt. I'll admit I do like that. Do I want to call it a trope in science fiction? The alternate Earth where things are different. I think it's fun. I think it's in real life. I think the idea is ridiculous. I think if there are other universes, they'd be unlike anything we're used to here. It'd be like
if you dig into and I didn't want to get off. I'll be very brief. I won't get off.
Yeah, let's not. We'll be here for 5 hours.
But the whole concept of the double slit experiment and the possible explanations and all that kind of stuff for every possible infinite decoherence. Every possible choice, every possible possibility, there's in theory an alternate universe. But again, that's based on the predicate that there are infinite universes. If there's not, then that's not the case.
Then nothing has a consequence.
Well,
that's what I don't like about
personally.
This is what I mean. I'll at least admit that in that Crisis on Two Earths DC animated movie, that Owlman went nuts because he was basically saying, "Oh, look at this! Here I'm a conqueror, another planet. I'm a shoe salesman." Like he's like, it doesn't matter. No choice I make matters. And he argued the only choice that would matter would be if I could figure out a way to destroy the first Earth. There were no choices made, and just destroy. Everything. That's the only choice argument that would matter, and that was what drove him nuts. That's why he was going to do that.
But see, that is the whole concept of the of quantum immortality. Google it. There's YouTube videos about it. The problem with it. So in other words, for every risky thing that you could do, where there's a chance that you survive, there is a universe where you survive, and there's that individual will always survive because the dead one has no consciousness. Well, that's wonderful, except for all of the ones that died. And if you are the one that died, you don't give a crap that there's an alternate universe version of you that survived. You're still dead. So the point being, these alternate individuals are not you. They are somebody else that was identical to you up to the point of divergence in your history.
Now, Mickey Smith kind of goes through an interesting arc in this episode. Doesn't he see his alternative self, and his alternative self is really put together, like kind of a badass, like he's like a member of that
Yeah,
version
so we
unit
should
and stuff.
probably
Yeah,
take a step back and talk a little
Yeah.
bit about Mickey. Mickey
I don't have his
is
picture
kind of a
up, but
goof.
yeah.
He is Rose's boyfriend.
He's a regular guy. I don't. Let's not
He's
pick
your
on him.
average Joe kind of guy,
Yeah,
but he's kind of a goof.
yeah.
A little bit beta, I would call him.
Oh.
And in fact, going back to the school reunion, he, as he's finding out, about Sarah Jane and Canine and stuff, he's like, so I'm the Tin Dog. In other words, he's analogizing himself to being the Canine of this
their current
modern
group.
era. And as an audience, if you understand who Canine is from being an older fan,
Yes.
you're like, oh yeah, I kind of see he's kind of like Canine, right? And he doesn't like that. And that's where the whole phrase,
I'm
as
not the Tin Dog.
yeah, right, exactly. As Netter said, I am not the Tin Dog. But in this episode, he sees a version of himself who's clearly not the
Tin Dog.
The Tin Dog. and so what ends up happening is he does end up staying. He chooses to stay here because in our universe,
his grandmother died, right?
His grandmother's died. He feels an obligation to stay and take care of this grandmother
because his version,
this universe's version of him has died, right? It's a chance to make them both whole. And he says there's really nothing for him over there because the only other thing would be Rose.
She's not
and Rose
interested.
is off traveling with the doctor.
She doesn't want him as a boyfriend anymore. I mean, she's kind of said that. I mean, she wants other things. So yeah. Oh, Geek Flag. Mickey was whipped like a donkey, dude.
I
know.
I always used to say redheaded stepchild, but
Final Fantasy fan was bringing up who David Tennant is married to in real life. We were going to get to that a little later.
Yeah.
What did I skip over here? Are we just jumping right into the Satan pit?
Yep.
I think I skipped Idiot's Lantern. Sorry. The Impossible Planet, and then the Satan Pit. I don't know. I'm sure I'm skipping episodes because I was terrified to have to do this all in 1 week.
This should have been a Halloween episode. This was scary ass crap. This episode of Doctor Who scared me maybe as much as The Exorcist scared me as a kid.
Well, basically, it's setting up the fact that this is basically a devil, or the devil is trapped in this thing, and like the doctor's like, don't exist. I don't believe in that. It says, who put you there? And he's like, the guardians of light, who I assume would be angels or something. And like he's not buying any of this. Like, I exist before the universe. The universe was always there, and I'm like, he's having all these arguments and stuff about this, which I think is more Davies and putting his
but it does establish that. And this is probably a good time to bring this up. We're going to see this as I pointed out. We have a very shell-shocked doctor in Eccleston.
Yeah,
we have a healing doctor here who is coming back into his own, and the upswing of that is he starts to get a little bit arrogant. So when he starts to encounter an individual like this. Who and later on with the weeping angels and so on and so forth, this whole idea of these beings that are older than the Time Lords, suddenly that's humbling again for the doctor.
Okay. Yes.
Somebody who can debate with the doctor and hold his own because he has as much or more wisdom than the doctor himself. Oh, you're 2,000 years old? Oh, that is cute. So adorable. I am billions and billions of years old.
All right. So I think I'm skipping now to the finale. I'm sure there's Love and Monsters Fear Her. I'm sure these were good episodes. I just don't remember them. I'm sorry. But if anybody has any, people will yell at me for missing out on some episodes. But I think I want to go right to the finale.
Oh, yeah.
This is the big finale. Mickey Smith is back. Well, first off, what was neat about it is all around England, people are seeing ghosts, right?
Yep.
These images of these creatures appearing, and they're like, oh, they think it's their loved ones or something. And then we realize No, it's the Cybermen from the other universe trying now to materialize on proper Earth, right?
Right.
But there's going to be more to it than that. So here we have the Cybermen appearing. Torchwood's involved somehow, I think, right?
Yep.
Because I think they infiltrate Torchwood. They end up taking over.
And that is the
actress's
isn't
name.
that who the chick is on the right there? She's the representative of Torchwood.
Yes, she's the head of Torchwood. Yes. And so now we have the Cybermen, so they're coming over. And I think the humans on the other side know this, and they're trying to also cross over to stop this from happening. Because they said for months we've been trying to dismantle the Cybermen and get rid of them. And, it was hard to do it because there were plants all over the world, I think, right? And they were busy fighting a war with them. But now the Cybermen were trying to escape between dimensions now. But then, of course, somebody else shows up. Daleks.
The Daleks, and this is one of those right? Who would win in a fight?
I was mad. I was mad.
Why?
Because the Dalek kicks their ass, and the thing is, when you were a kid, I remember I bought this little plastic miniature set. I think the Warhammer people put this out, where it was like Dalek and Cybermen miniatures you could put together. I used to put them together and paint them. They were tiny little, they like World of Warcraft style, and the idea is you could have a little war game with your Daleks and Cybermen, but you never knew who would win because they never really crossed paths on the old show. But they finally crossed paths here, and they have an argument with each other. That was kind of funny. Remember, they were saying your design is inelegant. That's what the Cyberman says about the Dalek.
Can I real quick? Can we back up to the previous
Go ahead. Let's
thing
do it.
real quick?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So again, this is Jackie Tyler. Right, Rose's mom.
Yep.
Played by Camille Kanduri.
Mm-hmm.
If you have never seen, she's been in a lot of things. She was the female lead in King Ralph. If you ever saw that comedy with John Goodman. I just got to say, again, I have a type, and she's just gorgeous. And I know a lot of people really like Billie Piper, but I was like, I'm sorry, her mom is the hot one. It's just yes, she was the comic relief, but
it's fine.
And I know she was meant to be the not only the comedy, but a little bit annoying. The doctor, tended to get annoyed by her, and I was like, any episode she was in, I was like.
But she's also inserting questions members of the audience would have. Let's be honest here.
No. Good point. Absolutely. And honestly, that's what all the companions are there for. To not assume that the audience would know. You're not all old time fans. Let's make sure you know what's going on.
In original Who, it would be a closer fight. Daleks on the new Who are way overpowered. I would also argue these are newly made Cybermen. These are not of course, according to the Doctor, they're not going to evolve. Okay, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Little lines like that bother me. I'm sorry, because I'm an old school Doctor Who fan. Like, he made a comment in one episode, TARDISes were grown. I'm like, really? Where did that come from? And don't even try bringing out, it was in the snot, and then just...
it doesn't matter. It was never really established.
I assumed it was just high technology from an advanced alien civilization.
Sure. What's to say that it wasn't, high technology that had to do with, biotechnology?
Okay,
why not? I like that idea.
Okay. All right.
As long as it doesn't actually break canon, as long as it's establishing new canon, I don't really have a problem with it.
Isn't them taking a Torchwood scientist and sucking his brains out or something?
Something like that.
Yeah. You realize those plungers can do a lot more than just grab things.
Yeah, they can clean pipes really easily.
Oh, that was rather horrifying.
So look at the Dalek on the right. The other armature that he has is the Dalek laser, or whatever the sidearm is. Do you know what that prop is?
No.
Or at least what it was on the original? Have you ever seen a paint roller?
Yes.
Take the soft part off. That's what that was.
So literally made out of the stuff from the janitor's closet. Okay. Anyway,
that's the way all of this stuff came into existence. Yeah.
Yeah, the original
and those were, plungers. That's
Yeah.
what those were.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the original sonic screwdriver was actually
A tire gauge.
Tire gauge. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Anyway,
No. Actually, that's wrong. The second sonic screwdriver was a tire gauge. The first one was a pen light, and it was the second Doctor who had it.
Now, I think the Daleks were also sort of trapped between dimensions, or they were somewhere. I know that there was a thing.
There was an infinity arc, is what it was.
Yeah.
It was a prison that the
Time Lords invented.
The Time Lords had
Daleks
used.
in, yes.
And so this is actually the explanation of why the Daleks survived the Time War.
Because then they open it up and a ton starts spilling out.
Off.
Yes, it's like a TARDIS on the inside. It's like
they were outside of time and space in this prison, and now they've been released. So unfortunately, the Daleks have returned.
Yeah, so here we have the Daleks back, and Daleks fighting Cybermen. Cybermen are killing everybody. Daleks killing everybody. It's a free for all on Earth. Torchwood gets pretty messed up in this episode too. I think the bunch of them get converted into Cybermen, as I recall. And
we will not get to Amy Pond until next week, simply because she's a Matt Smith companion. Yes. I will also say this: we did mention how Rose played a role in the regeneration of the Doctor, and for a brief period of time she was a big Deus Ex Machina, but the Doctor takes that ability away from her and sacrifices himself to do that.
The point is, it's not something you expect to do. It's not like the Holdo maneuver.
Right. Later on, we will see something very similar with what's her name? The Runaway Bride.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We're going to get to
anyway.
That
I'm making a point here, though. I'm making a point here. Donna Noble. Thank you. She has a Deus Ex Machina moment, and the Doctor has to take that away from her as well, or she'll die. And then later on, when we get into Capaldi, we get into the Impossible Girl, who never has her impossibility taken away from her, and she is the bestest ever. And that's where we start to.
I'm not as harsh on her as you are.
I liked Clara.
I did too, until she overstayed her welcome. Okay. We'll get.
We're going to get to that, and I feel kind of sorry for Clara. Actually, we'll get to that when we get there.
Agreed.
All right, so they're gonna have to. So there's
this is
tough.
Yeah. This is a and the Doctor's 3D glasses. I love that. Yes,
I had a picture.
I felt like it was a little minor Twin Peaks connection. It's not, but I always imagined it was.
But yeah, Rose decides to stay. Rose decides to stay on the alternative Earth.
Why? Because she has both her mother and her father.
And her father back. And
didn't her mother stay too?
Her mother marries the other dad. They marries the dad from the other Earth. And because the mother on the other Earth died. Yes, during the
just like Mickey takes Ricky's place.
Yeah.
Thereby making both sides of his family.
And Mickey comes back to regular Earth because his grandmother on the other side finally died too. So he said, okay,
Rose and Jackie stayed behind with the human Doctor.
So that's not yet.
Wait.
That's later.
You're getting ahead of us. We're not even there yet.
There we go. But they have their last goodbye here. Look, he's fading because they can't even keep staying in contact because crossing over is doing damage.
I love the line where this communication he's having with her from our universe.
Yes.
He's got the TARDIS in orbit around a dying star. He says, "I'm literally burning up a star to say goodbye to you."
Just to say goodbye to you.
I thought that was so sweet,
And it looks like Rose is going to get a
Where are they? Do you remember the name of this beach?
No.
Bad Wolf Bay.
Oh, that makes sense.
I know you did, sweetie. I'm sorry.
Anyway, but yeah, this is the part of the ways. Goodbye, Rose. Or at least for now, goodbye, Rose. So moving on.
Wait a minute. There's one other thing. Yes. There's one other thing. He's literally burning up a star to say goodbye. You could see how, translucent he is. And he doesn't even get to say the last thing he was going to say.
Nope.
And he says, "Rose Tyler, and then he disappears. Now, of course, most fans assume it's maybe like, "Rose Tyler, I love you," or something like that.
I'll miss you.
We don't know for sure. That's important.
Okay.
Well, considering that he started to cry, I'm saying it's I love you.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans have assumed that to be the case.
This one is The Runaway Bride.
What did you guys think of the John Sims as the master in this era of Doctor Who? It was a great reintroduction of the master. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we're introduced to Donna Noble in this episode as a...
this is another Christmas special, as I recall. Am I right?
It's another Christmas special, yes.
It was called The Runaway Bride.
And she's going to get married, and then...
It starts out with a little bit of a cliffhanger from the last episode of the season where he's about to say whatever he was going to say to Rose, and he disappears. In the TARDIS, he's like, and he's alone in the TARDIS. And he begins to set, coordinates for wherever he's going to go next. And suddenly there's this broad in the TARDIS.
Yelling at him.
And what does he say? He's like, what?
Yes, he
what?
does that.
It becomes a trope for this doctor. Yeah.
So she's supposed to be getting married, and then I think there's something wrong with her husband to be, because is he an insect person or I don't know. And then there's the big bug woman queen. Yes, yeah. And things are not working out for Donna Noble, but they saved the day
or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, her husband wanted to feed her to the spiders as a meal.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Yeah. And she wasn't down with that. And then David
I kind of understand that, to be honest.
And then at the end of David Tennant's like, something, I need a mate, someone to go on, thing. Why don't you come with me? We'll go on some adventures.
And she misunderstands his vernacular.
She says no.
Yeah. To mate? I don't want to mate. No. Not to mate. A mate.
Hang out with me.
A friend, yes.
On adventures through time and space. She's like, no, don't want to do that.
She turns him down. You think she's going to be a one-time companion, which we've seen before in Doctor Who.
But more on her later.
Yeah.
Then we get into season proper with Smith and Jones. That's the name of the first episode, right?
Yeah. So Freema Agyeman is the actress.
Yes.
Billie Piper was, Rose. And just going to say, in this modern era, you have a lot of companions and doctors who, if you are so inclined, they've been in other things where you can see whole lot more of these people.
Really?
Just saying. Oh, yes.
You mean Freema? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about this. Okay.
Rose Tyler was in a series called Diary of a Call Girl.
Yes, Secret Diary of a Call Girl.
Freema Agyeman was in, I don't remember what the name of the show was. She plays a lesbian. A lot of that kind of stuff.
The L Word?
No, I don't know if it was the L Word. I honestly don't know. And Matt Smith does a whole lot of full frontal doctor nudity. Just saying.
Well, that's
if that is your you can do your own Google foo on that.
Okay. Well,
Matt Smith.
Y'all have phone. I'm sure it was on that.
Fish fingers and custard.
The King of Dragons.
Right.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Martha Jones. This is still a family show. The Doctor Who at this point.
So
yes,
we've already had. Well, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This transition, I need to say one more thing about Rose. So we definitely had this thing where Rose seemed to. No. You didn't. You don't have to go back.
All right.
Okay, it's fine. Whatever.
Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to.
But we just came off of Rose, where it's very clear that she has some very serious feelings for the Doctor.
Yes.
And the Doctor really doesn't have those feelings for her. Or maybe he does. We don't know. Maybe he has these feelings. He reciprocates those feelings, but he's like, I'm sorry. No, this can't be. I'm 1,000 years old and you're effectively 2. So no. Yeah. We have Martha Jones. We have
Martha Jones. Donna Noble.
We have Donna Noble, who's like, no. Nah, none of that kind of stuff. No way. Okay, good. No problem there. The doctor's like,
Okay.
good with that. I wasn't interested in no. Then we get to Martha Jones, and Martha Jones kind of falls for him like almost right away. And the doctor's like, no. And he does make it like, she perceives it as you've just come off of another relationship and you're not ready for another relationship. And that's kind of where he is in general. But in reality, it's like, I'm not doing this whole 1,000-year-old doctor and, 20, 30-year-old human.
And Martha Jones is thinking, but I look like a supermodel. What's wrong with you? That's probably what she's thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very nice.
Hey, don't you want to get a little freaky? Maybe a little bit of the,
she I think might
going?
be. I think she might be my favorite companion from the New Who era.
So here's another important point about her. She is Dr. Martha
Yes,
Jones.
that's true. She's a doctor.
She is literally a medical doctor.
She's like a newly graduated.
So
now
they
she's
do
a medical
play
doctor.
with the whole doctor,
Yes.
nomenclature. Yeah.
Oh,
that's what it was. That see, I knew someone would know. Matt Smith was in Secret Diary of a Call Girl with Billy Piper.
Okay.
You know that, Boomer, because I sent you.
You sent me the picture, yes. Anyway, I forget what these were called. The June Dune or the something like that.
The Jadoon.
Yes, Jadoon. Okay.
They're basically like anthropomorphic rhinoceros people.
Oh, when my dad watched this episode, I was like, "Hey, Dad, what'd you think of the space cops?" And like, because he was a retired police officer, and he said, "Well, at least they didn't make them pigs." That's what he said.
That is your dad. I like your dad already.
Yes.
So the Jadoon have a language where every word in their language is a rhyme of a long O. So jo, do, mo, fo, do, go, ko. I said mofo intentionally, by the way.
Yeah, this is basically we're in Lex territory again. Okay. What was this?
David Tennant, who originally played Casanova before becoming the Doctor.
Of course.
Now we got Matt Smith, who was in Secret Diary of a Call Girl before he became Doctor.
Well, I'm sure there's a litmus test for being on these shows.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so that was her first episode. She goes, man, this was neat. This was the Shakespeare Code, right? The Shakespeare Code instead of the Da Vinci Code.
I like that. That was funny.
She was very worried about time traveling. She says, I don't want to. What if we time travel to a century where they had slavery? Me being who I am. And
so this was a great point because we have a black character.
Yes.
Who has her concerns. But this was really before the whole woke era, right? This was the so-called, this is what they, when the wokosos talk about, well, Doctor Who was always progressive. This was a great progressive, storyline, this whole idea of a black, companion, I should say, addressing those issues, but without being freaking preachy and making you.
It's funny because Shakespeare's kind of Bill Shakespeare's kind of falling for it. He says, "Oh, my beautiful blackamoor," and he says, "Well, maybe skip that last part," which I'm sure he wasn't intending as being insulting, but it was, and it's like an old term, I guess. Yes,
he specifically references one of his sonnets.
I know the sonnet you're talking about. Yes,
he implies that one of his sonnets is specifically about Martha Jones, which again, it's peak Doctor Who. I like it. Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't remember. He refers to his dark lady or something like that.
And then there's witches in this episode, and they end up using some Harry Potter vernacular to get rid of the witches and stuff. I remember that.
Yeah. He has to. He's pointing out that they kind of obliquely reference the whole Isaac Asimov concept that sufficiently advanced science would appear as magic, right? To someone who didn't understand, and their science is based on rhymes and words and whatnot, and you're dealing with the bard himself, who is a wordsmith, right?
Yes.
And the doctor finds himself in a situation where he has to do a spell, right? And he's having a hard time coming up with a rhyme, and he uses a rhyme by using the a term from Harry Potter. And
I remember that.
Oh, thank you so much, J.K. You know, this was back when J.K. Rowling was recognized as a lefty liberal. Before,
well, she is leftist on a lot of
before people realized that she was a classical liberal, second wave feminist. Second wave feminists are now, the Overton window has changed, has shifted, and now she is, what used to be left is now right. The world is upside down, but that's a topic for another day.
Daleks in Manhattan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that Andrew Garfield?
Holy shit, is that?
I think that's Andrew Garfield.
I'll be darned.
People picked on this two-parter. I rather liked it. I don't know why people picked on this episode at the time. This takes place in 1930s New York City.
Wait a minute. I also just realized why I like Martha Jones so much. She's wearing your colors, Natter.
Yep, burgundy and blue.
No, yeah. I think Rose Tyler was a tough act to follow, but I think Martha did a great job. Yes. Yeah. But here we have look at these. You have
I don't know. I did say that Rose's mom was like the hot one.
Mm-hmm.
I did think if again comparing to Rose, I'd choose Martha over Rose too.
Yeah, but Billy Piper.
I know she's against type for me, but still.
Funny, I actually think Billy Piper has gotten more attractive as she's gotten older. I know that may sound odd, but I don't know. I was seeing her recently.
Maybe she's managing her eyebrows better.
I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Anyway,
I knew you'd like that one.
So anyway, let's look. You have the pig people. You have the Daleks in Manhattan. I remember there's a scene here. Do I have his?
So this one establishes some great lore because you got the return of the Daleks, right? You had the one Dalek from the Eccleston era. You had a whole bunch more return from the Infinity Arc in that episode we were just talking about in the Tennant era. But how do you get more Daleks? There are no more Khalids to put into these mobile tanks, right?
Yeah.
So they've come to New York in the 30s, I want to say.
1930s, Great Depression.
Right. And they're using humans.
Yeah.
They're basically human Daleks.
They're trying to create a new Dalek race that doesn't need the tanks anymore and would be that.
Which the problem with that, of course, is they're impure. They're there it is. They're 1930s German level, purity type.
Well, here's the thing with these Daleks. They had a bunch made, and I think they had to kill a lot of humans to make these Daleks. But the Doctor, when he's introduced this new Dalek form, he's basically like this. Well, this is a new life form, a new sentient life form. It has to be given a chance to not be like its predecessors. He was basically saying, look, maybe I'll find you a planet to inhabit doesn't have anyone else on it, and we can, and you realize that these Daleks, these new Daleks, they're not like the old Daleks. Like they actually get very upset during in particular scene. So I think it might be this scene too. Here you have one of the humans. He's the one in charge of the Hooverville, and he introduces himself.
He's got a nice hat. I like that hat.
Yeah, and he's like trying to keep everybody afloat during a very horrible time in America. He's trying to help all the people out. He's like the leader of this little community, and then the Dalek shows up, and his reaction to Daleks is this, and he's actually being very sensible. He says, Daleks, before we didn't know anything existed off this planet before. You are the first extraterrestrial we humans have run into. But let's have peace. Let's be friends. What do you say, Dalek? And then the Dalek said, I say exterminate. And then shoots him on the spot. And I feel bad because here you have this human, instead of acting in fear, which of course he was probably a little afraid, but he's like, he says, "This is not how we should act to a new species. We're humans. Let's
And
reach
this
out our
is
hand in peace."
again,
And that was the response he got. Which I felt bad.
this is
Yes.
this is that progressive messaging
Mhm.
that's not woke, right?
Yes.
This is the kind that kind of everyone can get behind. Not only is this somebody who is, extending the hand of friendship, they also have it be a black man.
Yes.
Right? He has this very Dr. King kind of
And he's
attitude.
down
right?
on his luck like everyone else in the Hooverville, and he's not.
Right.
But when he sees this alien, he's like, we're all kind of just struggling here. And
But I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
It also underscores what I was talking about, the whole Torchwood idea.
Mhm.
It's like, look, this is what we friggin' have to deal with. We try to be the good guys. We try to be Doctor Who-like.
Yes, and then we get shot for our efforts.
And we get friggin' shot. So screw you, Doctor. Screw all you friggin' aliens. We're going to do what we have to do to protect ourselves.
Yeah. I kind of thought they would carry that further on the show, too, but oh well. But yeah,
I did like this idea, though. It would have been cool if they'd had the Doctor, the Daleks from the first Doctor episode, where the Chase was the name of the episode, from the Empire State Building. Yeah, that would have been a great,
interesting.
Yeah,
a crossover. Yeah,
I love this idea too of the one-eyed mutant, human hybrid, corresponding to the one eye stalk on the tank. I
forget how this ends, but I think either these die trying to save the humans, or the Daleks just exterminate them. Basically, the Daleks killed them. The
Daleks decide, you know what, this whole human hybrid thing, you're impure,
because they actually had some human attributes, which means this Dalek creature got very angry when the Daleks opened fire on the humans. I think he thought it was cruel and cowardly. So this is a new species that wasn't necessarily evil like the other Daleks, but the Daleks murdered them, and then finally I think the one escapes right at the end because the
Dalek Sec. I love this quote. If we are so powerful, then why are we not already victorious? Yes. Dalek Sec we'll be talking about, I suspect, in a future episode. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for the Daleks for this season, and we go back to Earth, and there's is his name Mr. Saxon, who is helping to run a corporation. He takes this I guess older British man who was like a big powerful man, but now he's old, and he gets in this device, and now he's young again. Remember?
Yeah.
I seem to recall when
Darth. Wait a minute, for $5, thank you, Darth Plato. It was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Yeah, this is the Lazarus Experiment, and 6th episode, and Professor Richard Lazarus, Mark Gaddis. Oh, this is Mark Gaddis. Okay,
right.
Demonstrates an experiment in his laboratory at Southwark Cathedral in Southwark, where he renews himself into a younger-looking man. And of course, the doctor doesn't like this, says, heaven forbid humans try to figure out a way to stay alive forever. I'm sorry. Wait. No.
Well, I know. And how hypocritical of him, right? It's literally regeneration. Are only you allowed to have regeneration ability?
I think he gets angry because he says something suspicious about this, because he ends up burning up a lot of calories, eats a bunch of food, and then I think he starts flirting with Martha's sister, as I recall, right? Like he's going to leave his old wife now for the younger girl. Of course, then he mutates into this horrible monster, and we know someone's behind, helped give him that technology, but we don't know who yet. We'll find out later on who's behind some of this weird stuff in present-day England. Okay.
Yep.
Moving on to the big two-parter. Now, I have a confession to make. Actually, did you want to read Darth Plato's thing?
Oh, yeah. Yes. No, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry.
In fact, I sang it. It was
the one-eyed. Yes, okay, that's what it was. Sorry. This was a big two-parter
to me. Yes.
Now, I actually, when I was watching this season, I don't know if we were on vacation or if something didn't record right. We missed the first part of this episode. So our family watched the second part.
This is one that you don't want to miss the first part of because
And
it does kind of start en medias res. Even if you see the first part of it, you're very confused. You're like, "What the hell is going on here?"
So I actually had the two back on the background today. I was watching. I decided to watch these because I never actually
caught up. Okay,
never actually saw the first part until today. Introduced, and you and I are probably going to have a fight. Maybe not. I don't like it when things get introduced and they're not explained. And I feel later Doctor Who does this a lot, and I think it sort of starts here. Why are the Doctor and Martha running away? They're running away from some evil, I assume, alien force that wants the Doctor for nefarious purposes.
It's a storytelling. It's a narrative concept called en medias res. You come in the middle of the story and you find out what's going on through things like exposition sometimes or flashbacks or whatever. And in a way, my favorite episode, what was it? The one with Sally Sparrow. What's the name of that?
Samantha Sparrow. Or is it Sally Sparrow? I thought
it is Sally Sparrow.
I'll find out when we get to it. Anyway.
The introduction of the
it's coming up. Just how.
Yeah. That one is kind of en medias res too, and you find out on the back end that if done well, it's a great narrative device.
Okay, so the Doctor and Martha have to go back to 1913 or 14, whatever, England, and he has to put his Time Lord essence into a stopwatch to hide from the evil aliens, and then he turns himself into a human using some contraption he sticks on his head, and so now he's John Smith, I guess public school teacher.
So this does tie back to some old Doctor Who lore, this concept of the Infinity Arc. But the idea of it, putting his memories into a fob watch, that's new.
This was an adaptation of a Doctor Who novel. Did you know that? It was actually the McCoy era Doctor Who, written in 1995, which they must have liked so much they decided to adapt it into a. So I guess that version's not canon, and now this version's canon.
There are a lot. I don't think a lot of even old-time fans realize how many of the new Who era stories are based on either novels or unfilmed scripts from the Schalke, for example. There's one for you. But go ahead.
So he does fall in love with a nurse at the school, who I believe is played by the actress who was on Spaced. Who is her name? Jessica Hines? Is that her name?
I don't.
Yes, Jessica Hines. That's her name. There's a lot of callbacks on Doctor Who to the show Spaced, because the Space was sort of like their kind of geek culture sitcom type show from the 90s. If you haven't watched Spaced, I recommend it. You'll have a good time watching it. There's a scene where Simon Pegg's in this comic book shop and he's yelling, "It doesn't mean what it did to you. You weren't there." And like going on this thing and like, what is he talking about? And then it's a little kid trying to buy a Jar Jar Binks action figure, and the kid runs out of the store crying because he's upset about episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
But anyway, she was on that show, but here she is playing a widow of a man who was shot, and she's the nurse at the school, and romantic feelings develop because the Doctor is no longer the Doctor. He's this weird character called John Smith, who has weird dreams about fighting space aliens and stuff. Right?
And this isn't the first time the Doctor has used the name John Smith as a pseudonym.
Yes, that's right. So did John Pertwee when he was working for Unit.
Right.
But this is decades before that, so there you go. So I guess the big bads in this episode are the family of blood. Yeah, Spaced is hilarious. That was actually Edgar Wright's first, before he started making movies, that was his first thing. Here's the family of blood. They end up taking over creepy British schoolboy, and now he's creepy alien son of the family of blood.
Aliens up to no good, and
who want the Doctor's essence for some nefarious purpose.
And the Doctor instead of, this is what you don't realize, what you find out in the course of this is the Doctor is totally capable of just obliterating these beings, and he doesn't want to do that. So he is hoping to just hide, you go away, and
good. I didn't realize that was the reason, because a lot of humans get killed in this episode.
Yeah.
But again, I've never claimed the Doctor.
But it is one of those things where, again, it is him trying to be the good guy, the passive guy, right? Not do the whole kill or whatever. I'm just gonna what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take myself out of the equation. You can't have my essence or whatever. I'm even gonna forget that I am the Doctor, and I'm gonna live a life as a normal human. And unfortunately, these guys can't leave well enough alone.
And you have these evil scarecrow monsters.
And they end up being their own downfall, which is a recurring theme, of course, for Doctor Who.
Yeah. So I also noticed Martha Jones in this episode. She's having to be a maid at the school, and it's like the boys said, "Oh, with the color of your hands, how can you tell if you're clean?" And you know what? Just shut up. And you know what it is. And even the Doctor's loving this, says, "Oh, I don't believe you're a doctor," and it's like, really. But the funny thing was, though, it's basically saying people can have prejudice and not be totally evil, which I thought was interesting in the Doctor, because she's the love interest, and she basically has to explain, "No, I know all this medical stuff," and she's explaining, "Well, you just read that in a book." "Yeah, to pass my exams." That's what she said. She got very annoyed. But they fall in love, these two, but it's not to be, unfortunately.
Right.
And but I think he leaves her with a nice memory, and they go off again. They stop the family of blood. The Doctor finds all sorts of things to do with the family members. The dad he covers in chains, and so
what ends up happening is he opens up his fob watch. He remembers he's the Doctor. These guys are like, "Oh, great, we can take your time energy or whatever." It goes, oh, you don't understand. I was hiding to protect you. Now you woke me up, and now I have to do what I wanted to avoid. And they end up with very, very hell-like fates.
Yeah.
The Doctor F's these guys off.
He throws one into a collapsing star, I think. He throws the other one
into a black hole. What happens when you fall into a black hole? You get spaghettified. But you get spaghettified over all of eternity.
That's interesting, because one of the villains on a couple of the villains in Superman the Animated Series, that happens to them. Anyway,
because of time dilation and how gravity works and that kind of
creepy stuff. Schoolboy gets turned into a scarecrow forced to look over England.
Yes, he is literally conscious and alive in the body of a scarecrow for all of eternity.
The little girl, the daughter, he trapped inside a mirror, and she wonders if maybe someday he'll forgive her and let her out. I don't know, because she was
which I can almost guarantee you he never will.
Yes, but he says when you think you see something out of the corner of your eye in a mirror behind you, it's her. So this was the big two-parter. Poor Martha Jones. She's like the first human he falls in love with, and it's not me. She said,
Yeah, exactly.
So but they go off, and now we're getting to here you go. Here you go.
What was the name of the episode?
The name of this episode, I believe, is Blink.
Blink, that's right. This is the episode that I always recommend to people who have never seen Doctor Who.
Yeah, I love this episode.
It is a perfect introduction to Doctor Who.
Oh, it is.
Because you see it through the eyes of this actress. The character is Sally Sparrow.
Yes.
Again, very en medias res. You as a Doctor Who fan have no friggin' clue what's going on. There is no Doctor. There is no Martha Jones. There is nothing that you're aware of. There's this character you've never heard of before.
I'm thinking, is this a character from a new spinoff we're going to be getting? The Adventures of Sally Sparrow.
Yeah. I mean, you almost could have done, but my understanding is she went on to do other film and whatnot. She had a big. Is that her name, Carrie Mulligan? Yeah. I only know
that
her
would
from this,
explain it.
but
No,
yeah,
Carrie Mulligan's been in a lot of stuff. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
That
there
makes
you
sense.
go.
Yeah.
But this was the first thing I ever saw her in. This was, again, another one of those episodes written by Stephen Moffat. Brilliant use of time travel in this episode.
Okay.
Closed loop paradox kind of stuff. It's brilliant.
The introduction of the Weeping Angels.
The Weeping Angels. I'll tell you, they should have never used the Weeping Angels again. They ruined them by trying to use them again.
Maybe. Yeah.
I will explain why I say that in just a moment.
Yes. Okay. That's fine. But Sally Sparrow, I remember her friend ends up getting caught by one of them. But you don't always die if you get caught by Weeping Angels. Sometimes you just end up in another decade, right? So she ended up.
Yeah, there's a great line that the doctor has when he's explaining to them. He refers to them as the lonely assassins. The reason they're lonely assassins is, as you can see, this is an angel statue, right? They are quantum locked. They're playing with that whole double slit experiment concept, right? This whole idea that observation of quantum things affects them. So their condition is that they are statues when you are looking at them. But if you're not looking at them, they can move, and they can move very quickly. And it's like an evolved defense mechanism. You can't
and they
kill
you by making you live to death.
You can't kill a statue, but then you blink, and then, oh yes, it can, because it can move. And how do they kill you? When they touch you, they teleport you back in time. And then they live off of all the years you would have had. They steal that time energy from you. And how do they kill you? They kill you very nicely. They allow you to live to death. You go back in time and you live out a normal life.
But some people die like right away or have a worse end or something. I remember that. It's not.
That's not until the Matt Smith era.
Okay, we'll get
that's
there.
When they ruin them. Yeah.
Okay.
Here it's just sending you back.
The doctor leaves a recording behind for Sally
and you
Sparrow.
find out that this Sally Sparrow is in the present.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor and Martha Jones are in the past. They've already been sent back in time by the Weeping Angels, but without his TARDIS. So he has no way to get back.
I see. Interesting. Okay. But Sally Sparrow figures it out.
Well,
I remember that.
Basically sends a message, and this is where the paradox comes in. He meets up with somebody in the past, kind of gives them some future knowledge to nudge their life along, so that he will get into physical media someday. Things like VHS and DVD, and would be in a position to put DVD extras on things. And the DVD extras that he's putting onto a bunch of different DVDs are a recording from the doctor. And people in the modern day have found these things and didn't understand what this was, because it was a specific message for a specific person. And so there's all these internet forums trying to figure out like it's some sort of augmented reality type game or something.
Interesting.
And Sally Sparrow's boyfriend is one of these people that knows all about this, right? And will be her boyfriend anyway. I don't know if you knew this, Boomer, but that whole segment of the doctors, his side of the conversation, you can find that on YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
If you memorize the dialogue,
is this like a memento sort of thing?
You could literally say and have a conversation with the doctor.
That's so weird.
Yeah. That sounds got away from you a bit. Yeah, that sounds got away from me a bit.
Yeah, and that's really cool because you see her watching this message, not realizing what it's about, and she's only hearing, him saying half a conversation. And when she finally sits down to listen to it with her buddy next to him, there's this great bit where he's explaining to her, I'm in the past. I need you to help me. I need you to get the TARDIS back to me. I'm a time traveler, what the weeping angels are, all that kind of stuff. And she says, wait a minute. If you're in the past, no. She's like, how can you hear me? He goes, well, I can hear you. Well, okay, I can't hear you exactly, but I know what you're going to say. She says, how? How do you know what I'm going to say? He goes, look to your left. And she looks to her left, and her boyfriend is sitting there writing. She goes, what are you writing? He goes, oh, I'm taking down your side of the conversation. This is interesting. I've only ever heard his side before. That bit about look to your left, though, that's really interesting. We've all thought that's like a political statement or something. She goes, no, he's talking about you, you idiot.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's a very interesting use of time travel, right? Yes. He can't actually hear her, but he's got the transcript that her boyfriend is writing of what she says, and in the future she will give it to the doctor so that he has it in the past. See, and so yeah, he explains what the weeping angels are. Don't blink and you're dead, right? So there are these great moments where, they're they're running from the weeping angels and they turn and they're there, and then they blink and suddenly they're right in front of them. It's all these kind of jump scare kind of moments. Now, here's the best thing about this, right? Once they've established, if she's looking at them, they can't move. If she blinks, they can move. If she turns away and runs, they can move. But as soon as she turns back, they stop. We always see them as statues when someone on the show is watching them. There is this brilliant moment. It had to be planned where you're watching the scene. Think about the mise-en scene, right? What you're seeing on the television. Mm-hmm. And you see the angel, and you see her looking at the angel, and then she crosses in front of our view between us and the statue. And as she does that, the statue moves. But because she wasn't looking at the statue at the time, there was nobody looking at the angel. So how was it able to move? It wasn't able to move because we, the audience, were looking at it. And when she crossed in front of us, nobody was looking at her. The angel.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in other words, the angels can't move if someone is looking at them, including us, the audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made this so brilliant and so damn freaky.
There we go.
And it's ruined in the Matt Smith era, and we'll get to that next week.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll be doing a lot of truncation next week because I have some rants to do next week. Let's go to the big 3-part finale. We start out. Well, for starters, it's funny how this episode begins with Captain Jack Harkness screaming, "Doctor, Doctor," and jumping onto the TARDIS, because if you had watched Torchwood that season, you know that the severed hand of the Doctor comes to life, and that's how he knows the Doctor is back in Cardiff, and then he runs to the TARDIS to go and go on another adventure with the Doctor because he's missed the Doctor. So, right. And they end up going to the far future.
One thing we should establish in the episode where the Doctor, Eccleston takes the time energy out of Rose.
Yeah.
Not only does Rose Deus Ex Machina away the Daleks, she also brings back Jonathan Harkness, who had been killed by the Daleks. But in so doing, she literally made him immortal.
And then he time traveled back in time on Earth and then ended up just living a couple centuries before he got to modern day, where he started Torchwood up again, but tried to make it a bit not as
He tried
harsh
to
as
remodel Torchwood in the Doctor's image, is how he puts it.
Don't get me started on Torchwood. Anyway, so
There were some things I liked about Torchwood, but yeah, it had its problems. That's where they started to go woke, is what I'm going to say.
Davies didn't like Primeval. I think he made Torchwood because of Primeval. Because Primeval was made by ITV, and he wanted to do his own show about a government agency dealing with this stuff.
Absolutely
Even
right.
though Primeval's not really like Doctor Who. It does deal with time travel, but in a different way. Okay, so here we go. We have Utopia.
So he meets a guy by the name of Dr. Yana.
No, Professor Yana.
Oh, Professor
He's just
Yana.
a professor. And he's played by Derek Jacobi.
Yes.
That's an important actor of note because he voiced another character in many big Finnish audio productions.
He did.
After another actor passed away.
So this is before you make that revelation. We should point out that there are a lot of clues to who this individual is.
Yes.
Before you get the big revelation, it's all there, and when you find out, you're like, "Holy crap!" And a lot of fans kind of did see it coming.
And it's interesting. So basically, he's the Master. The Master did what the Doctor did. He got rid of his Time Lord essence, probably to hide during the Time War, right?
Something that had happened many times before was the Master would hide his identity. He'd be introduced as a new actor, and you wouldn't know right away who he was. But the name was either what do they call it when you mix up the letters?
Like Latin for master or something, right?
Or something like that. It's a
like
clue. If you're paying attention, you'll figure it out. But,
or Greek for master. I think that was in another episode. It was Greek for master. Yeah.
But again, this one had a bunch of them. Yana is Professor Yana. Anagram. Thank you. Yeah. If you mix up the letters of Yana, you get the Master. And
you rearrange the letters of Torchwood, you get Doctor Who.
Oh, I never got that.
You never knew that?
I never knew that. That's very interesting.
Yes.
And also, as you were pointing out, this actor did the voice of the Master in some of the big Finnish.
The great Derek Jacobi.
So there were all these clues for you to find out that he is the Master. But he is, the Master went missing during the Time War.
Because he was resurrected from the Time War. That's what
the story was that the Time Lords gave him a new set after the whole situation with the 96 movie that we talked about, the Paul McGann thing. He was pulled out of time by the Time Lords because they needed him to help with the Time War.
Because he's devious and cunning, and they needed that to fight the Daleks.
Exactly. And he decided, screw this and screw you.
He got scared at something during the Time War. He ran. Something the Daleks were able to do that he didn't realize they could do, and he ran. That's what happened.
He decided to do exactly what the Doctor had already set up previously. He uses the Infinity Arc to wipe his memory and put it into a fob watch and become a human.
And he's at the end of the universe, I guess, as the universe is going to die or something. And then, he's trying to start a utopia to save all the remaining intelligent life forms, including humans, and hopefully keep them from, going into oblivion. Like he's trying to create a utopia. And he's the professor, and he's almost like a doctor type character,
right?
In his human form, he's like filling that role. But then, of course, he undoes the stopwatch, and then he gets he becomes the Master again, and he's evil. See, he opens that up. He
kills his companion.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
She was an alien too. She was like
Chantho, I believe, was her name.
And he has his own TARDIS there too, and finally, I think he gets damaged, or he's like, well, why don't I just have a new body, a new young body? So there we are.
Yeah.
And this sets up things that have been revealed earlier this season of who the big bad guy is, and he goes back to present-day London to establish himself, and I believe he gets elected Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
there was a great marketing campaign around this too, where they were putting up bills and online things. Vote for Saxon. It was very clever, kind of like what DC Comics did with vote for Lex Luthor.
yes,
for president.
exactly. So here we are. And doesn't he kill off members of Parliament? I think that happens in a scene, or he does something.
Yeah, you'll notice he's holding a laser screwdriver, which is his equivalent of the sonic screwdriver. He's taken a wife. She becomes his in quotes companion, and she's as bad as he is.
Yes.
She is a good companion for the Master.
And he takes over England. He wants to take over the whole world, and he does this by having these creatures that work for him, which are actually the remains of the human race from the 50 trillion years.
I believe they were the Toclophane.
Yes,
right?
yes. But they actually used to be humans, I think, right? They were the last remaining humans from the end of the universe. And then he turns the Doctor into this old dwarf thing and keeps him in a bird
he
cage.
does this little timey-wimey thing where he speeds up the Doctor's aging process thousands of years. And what's amazing about that is, so this is what a Time Lord looks like if they don't regenerate and they just live for, eons. They turn into house elves.
Master is not complete without the compression tissue eliminator. I don't remember if he had that here or not. I don't recall. Like I said, it would have been great to rewatch all these before. But the day is saved by who? Martha Jones.
Yeah.
Martha Jones saves the day. They actually say that for a whole year, she is stopping foiling the Master's plans.
By literally walking the earth
Yes.
and reaching out to people, telling them the story. It's a great little the whole idea. There's nothing more dangerous than ideas.
Yes.
Than hope.
Yes.
And she's going and telling people the Doctor's story.
Yes.
To inspire hope.
And the Doctor eventually gets restored, stops the Master, and then I think the Master dies somehow. I don't remember the full thing, but he gets stopped, and or he decides not to regenerate, or something happens, and
he's dying, and the Doctor's telling him just regenerate.
Like,
again, the Doctor looking at him as this is the only other
member of my kind,
Time Lord. Yeah, the only, and he's like, no, because it'll hurt you, and so I just won't regenerate. And he dies.
Yes. Now he's the last Time Lord again.
Right.
All right. Moving on to the.
I have to assume that this is Michael French
yes.
of Retroblasting, his favorite episode, because it's Kylie Minogue.
Kylie Minogue looking very nice in that maid's outfit. What was interesting. The episode ends with him running into the Titanic, right?
Yeah. So as I recall,
that's the big finale. Yes.
He well, wait a minute. Actually, you're actually missing something here. Oh! Speak of the devil, see his horn. I really enjoyed this season, but Blink is overrated. I disagree. Well, from a certain point of view, you're right. But as a standalone episode, you can't do better. You don't need to watch any other episode. You can watch that and walk away and just be fine. Yes, this is my favorite episode. I figured. I had no idea you were here, Michael. Looking very forward to the Retroblasting. The next big video coming from Retroblasting is going to be a retrospective on Rogue One. I will be promoting the hell out of it. I will tell you guys when that is happening. Very much looking forward to that. I've been here for a while. Been working on Rogue One video graphics while I watched. I'm a Patreon member of his, so I get to see the updates and whatnot. So That's why I'm so stoked. I know what's coming, and I'm very, very excited about that. But yes, in case you don't know, and how could you not, with as much as I talk about retroblasting on this channel, you should be following retroblasting. Even if you are not a big fan of toys, especially vintage toys, he's got a lot of pop culture content over there, Indiana Jones and so forth, that you should really be checking out. But those of you that have listened to me and are subscribed to Retroblasting knows he's a big Kylie Minogue fan.
So he's on this big
so at the end of the previous episode, it's another one of those episodes where the Doctor leaves his companion behind, goes into the TARDIS alone, and does his thing, and he's taking off. And as he does, suddenly something smashes into the TARDIS and busts through it. And it's the bow of a ship. And the life preserver on the side of it, or maybe it was the
might have been the life preserver.
I don't remember.
It says
SS Titanic.
And of course he says it, he goes, What?
Yeah, that's his thing. What you missed between that episode and the Christmas episode was there was a Children in Need special that sets up why that happens. He gets into the thing, he starts doing his control. Before the Titanic breaks through the side of the TARDIS, as he's going around the control of the TARDIS, he runs into another Doctor. Do you remember who that other Doctor is?
No.
It's Peter Davison.
Oh, that was the Children in Need thing. Yeah. I'm not doing all that here. We'll be here.
No, I get it. But the important point is, how does this indestructible TARDIS suddenly have something smashed through it? There's an explanation.
They explain it with Peter
about
Davis
what he's
Doctor
done,
the
techno babble for why two Doctors could be in the TARDIS.
And he yells at him for changing the desktop theme. You changed the desktop theme.
So we've seen the different versions of the control room.
Yes.
And this is the establishment of the idea that it can take on any look the Doctor wants, just like you could change the desktop theme in Windows. It's the same kind of concept. But this differential thing in the TARDIS it wasn't set. And that's why there was a momentary crossover. And also why Peter Davison looks older. He says, when you return, you'll go back to the way you looked, and you'll also kind of forget. That's kind of a recurring theme with these crossovers. I know how that works. And it's a great little humorous interplay between the two, but it culminates in David Tennant kind of sort of breaking character to speak to Peter Davison as, actor to actor. And he says something about
you were the first time I was young. That's what he said.
You were my Doctor,
because I was young and you were young, and it was finally
and they explain it away, in universe, but it was almost like David Tennant saying it to Peter Davison, and he had gone on record previously saying that Peter Davison was like my Doctor, so this was a great thing. But we'll get back to that. Hold on to that. That's an important point. But then before Peter Davison leaves, he goes, and make sure you reset the differential. Yeah, I know. And he doesn't do it right away. And that's why this Titanic is able to. Well, and again, so this is the second time you've come to the same point in the cliffhanger, and you're assuming this is the Titanic,
No.
Leonardo DiCaprio. No, it's not. Go ahead.
It's a replica Titanic made by aliens for people wanting to do a tour of the Earth from the outside. Right. And we'll make it look like the Earth Titanic, because I guess aliens know about it, and they explain these are what the humans are like. They have Christmas on Turkey, and I think did he make some comment how they go into Turkey and eat the people there or something like that? They didn't understand that.
Yeah,
it was some silly stuff like that.
Culture.
Yes, and it's because they don't really understand humans. It's like someone getting something wrong about another country on our planet. But yeah, and then of course there's a sabotage of this Titanic. They
Wait a
have to
minute.
stop it from
Funny you
getting
say that,
destroyed.
Darth Plato, because there actually is a Star Trek Doctor Who crossover comic out there. Although it is the JJ verse
Right.
Enterprise, and it is the Matt Smith Doctor, but that's a whole.
That's a perfect duo. Okay, well we'll get to it. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm gonna try and be nice. Okay. Anyway, Kylie McDowell's in this episode. I kept thinking, oh, this could be the new companion this season. No,
And she was for that one episode.
And then she dies horribly. I think she falls into falls to her death.
I have not been telling you that there's spoilers. You guys should know this. This is a retrospective.
I don't care.
Retrospective means spoiler.
Go watch them.
Watch these damn
You
shows.
can get the entire Tennant and Eccleston era on DVD set for under $20. That's a good deal.
It's all available on physical media.
It's also on HBO Max.
If you're relying on streaming, you're screwed. That's why you own physical media.
Well, I relied on streaming to watch the episode today. But anyway, moving on. Donna Noble is
look who's
back.
Returned. The Runaway Bride.
Yeah, it turns out, I actually thought our little adventure was cool, and I've been waiting for you to come back, and I think she's been kind of hounding and waiting to see if he shows up, and I think she starts investigating this weird organization that's going to make everyone thin by having them take these diet treatment or diet pills, and she's like, that sounds suspicious, because if aliens are up to something, the Doctor will show up, right? So she's investigating, and Donna Noble's back.
Which ends up becoming... No, not becoming a recurring theme. It was already a recurring theme. We've already had Sarah Jane, right? So we know that when a companion is returned, they're changed. They're aware of things that other people aren't, and they kind of can't give that up. You can't unknow what you know.
There's a wonderful episode. I don't know if this is them between the mirrors, between the window, but I think she's on the outside of the window, or he's on, and she's kind of doing miming language. It's me. And and then the evil villain of the episode's just standing there, says, am I interrupting something?
No. It's great because he's doing his investigation. She's doing her investigation.
Yes.
They're peeking into a room and they're on opposite sides looking in through a mirror, or through a window. And they see each other across the way. And they are miming to each other because they can't hear each other. So they're reading each other's lips. And she goes, Doctor. Yes, it's me. I know. And they're having this whole conversation back and forth. And then they stop and they look and they turn and they look at the baddie. And she's like, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you.
It was something like that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, she was the one that was.
When you're quite finished.
She's giving the diet pills, but really the diet pills will convert all the fat cells in the humans into little alien babies to be sent up to space. And, the trouble is it's going to kill off a bunch of people.
From the point of view of the humans, people with obesity problems are addressing their weight, the fat is coming off of them, and they don't know how.
This is
Ozempic, literally when I go to sleep, I wake up thinner.
Yes.
And what you find out is they're using the human fat cells as incubators for this
adipose
alien race called the adipose, which of course means fat cells.
They're so cute,
which are adorable. They look like the mini puffs from. I have to believe the mini puffs.
Well, it's funny when the doctor says everything stops. Says, "What are you going to do with those?" Oh, they're just kids. They're just babies. I'm not going to do anything to them. It's not their fault.
Exactly.
Like just let them go to their parents.
And from a certain point of view, it's a good symbiotic relationship, right?
Except that they end up just disintegrating the human's whole cloth instead of just taking.
Well, that's not how it sets out to be, though.
Well, that's how it's happening in the episode.
When the doctor shows up and he's basically like the intergalactic police and says, because of the Shadow Proclamation, blah 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 blah, you're interfering in this planet and you shouldn't be here and everything. She's like, well, I have no choice, so I guess I just got to do this quick. And she literally she puts it in high gear, and so anyone who's being affected by this is literally eaten up entirely and killed to be turned into a bunch of these little adipose. In other words, you get the impression that wouldn't have happened if the doctor hadn't interfered. That's a little part of this episode I think a lot of people overlook. This is my favorite episode of all of modern Doctor Who. That's interesting.
What?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with this episode. I'm just kind of surprised it stands out as your favorite. There's so many good ones.
All right.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then they go back in time to Pompeii.
Yeah. And it's Volcano Day. Yeah. Which this is another great one that at the time that they did this episode, they didn't realize they were planting a seed for a future episode.
Yes.
So this becomes so we've already established, well, I don't think we talked about it previously, but we've already established, we established with Christopher Eccleston, you're not supposed to change time. You know, I changed there's some things you can change, there's some things you can't, but that gets more refined. The rule gets more refined in the David Tennant era when he says there are fixed points that cannot be changed. And then there's other things that are a little more wibbly wobbly, timey wimey you can change. And
she begs him to save this poor Rowan family.
This girl's name,
Donna.
Donna's like, why can't you save all these people? All these people are going to die. And he goes, it's a fixed point. It's important to history. I can't change this.
He's forbidden from doing it. Yes.
And they really, well, but it's not just that he's forbidden, because let's face it, the Time Lords aren't around to enforce that.
This will be important later.
He understands the implications on future history.
Yes.
If I change this, it literally, and you know, it's the whole butterfly effect, right? If I save these people, so many other people will never be born. You know,
what he does do is he does save this particular Roman family.
As they argue,
like 4 people. Yes.
Can't you just save someone? And he realizes, yes, the overall event is a fixed point in time, but maybe I can save someone. And he ends up saving a single family. I hate the whole fixed point. I agree with you, Michael. I really do too. I'm just sharing it because it's lore they established. The writers really lean on that in Modern Who every time they want to create stakes from. Yeah, there are a lot of things in Doctor Who that I feel are cop-outs. The sonic screwdriver is one. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I am kind of establishing or, explaining the lore as it exists.
There's a funny thing in this episode where we learn that the TARDIS actually has a universal translator built in. That's why you can always speak English or whatever.
Right. So there's always been this, why is it that as they travel throughout time and other planets and everything else, why does everyone speak English? Well, you realize that the TARDIS has like the equivalent of a universal translator, and you hear them in your language, right? And they hear you in theirs. So as a lark to test this out, Donna says something in Latin because they're in Pompeii.
Yes.
And what was it?
Vili Vini Vici or something. She says that to one of the Romans. She wants to say it to one of the Romans.
And the person she's speaking to says, "Oh, I don't speak." What did he say? Gaelic or something like that?
Yes, he said something like that.
And which again kind of implies how this translation thing works. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I could see why they would hear that it's Gaelic." It's kind of
Yeah, but anyway, we can see Peter Capaldi in this episode. He
so the family he saves, the patriarch of the family is played by Peter Capaldi, who is
the actress who played Martha Jones was a Torchwood member in the prior season. Sometimes they'll just use actors again on BBC.
Right. Bernard Cribben, who is Donna's grandfather. Grandfather.
Yeah.
Was actually in a Peter Davison era. He was in at least one episode, I can't remember, but he was up to be the Doctor. He in another universe he would have been an incarnation of the Doctor.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the Ood return. We first saw those in the Satan pit. These are actually a slave race that the humans use in the future. Oh, because they're just dumb Ood. Well, no, they're really not dumb. They're actually a very sophisticated species that the humans have been messing
Have
with.
basically lobotomized.
Yes,
That item he's holding
yes,
is an artificial replacement for a part of their brain that has
yeah.
been severed and removed and replaced with that device. It's a very scathing. It kind of references back, slavery from history and the idea of forced gelding and
Do you remember
the
what
concept of lobotomies.
you know what Donna says? Donna says it's so horrible the humans of the future are back to slavery. And then the doctor looked at her and said, "Who do you think makes your clothes?" Remember that? He was
That's a great line, actually.
sweatshops and whatnot.
That's a great line.
Trying to say, "Don't be so high and mighty." It's like, what was
I
it?
can let you try to stop Adolf. I can't let you prevent him from being born.
Oh,
Yeah,
for the love of Mike, let's not. We'll get to
we'll get
that
to kill
episode.
Hitler.
No,
Yeah,
let's get to that wonderful episode. I'm sorry. There's so much. I
yeah,
don't.
yeah. I
I'm
one thing that I
terrified
liked
of
about
next week.
was this. Honestly, when I looked at them, I saw them as like Cthulhu spawn from Lovecraft. I was like,
No,
or if you are a D&D fan, the Mind Flayers,
but
the
they're
Ill.
not. They're actually
No,
a peaceful race. And what's
yeah,
interesting is the big nasty corporate guy that's trying to, because people are on Earth are saying I don't know. I don't know if there are people protesting the imprisonment of the Ood. It's like, no, they're part of our empire and we need them, whatever. He ends up
yeah,
taking this drug to regrow his hair, and then eventually he just turns into an Ood and he's all
yeah,
scared, and they said, "Don't worry, we'll take him in and we'll make him part of us." That's what they say, which
yeah.
is a weird. I don't know. I mean, it's not killing him, but it's sort of just making him what he was imprisoning, but they're
Yeah,
not gonna treat
exactly.
him badly as a result. But it was a weird episode. Moving on.
And he still doesn't get any hair growth. So
Yeah, this is the Centauran stratagem. I picked on how they did the Cybermen on New Who, but I thought the Centaurans, at least for this two-parter, are spot on. I think they did
yeah,
them
I
well.
agree with you. It
Yes,
was like they were true to their original look, and they just elevated it using the modern budget and skill. Yeah.
they make a clone of Martha Jones, who is now working for UNIT. She's like
Yep.
a medical, I guess, doing alien autopsies and
Yep.
stuff for UNIT, so she's heavily involved with UNIT now. And yeah, this was just a good. There we go. Finally showing what a Centauran looks like.
Yep.
I like the one reaction of like one of the British commanders when he sees the Centauran on the screen. He says, "Oh my God, they look like trolls." Remember that? He was like
Yeah.
taken aback
This
by them.
this actor, I forget his name. He recurs as other Sotarans later on because they're clones, right? So you
Yes,
can have the same actor playing them all the time. I met him here at Chicago TARDIS. Heck of a nice guy. Got my picture taken.
he was a no. Just I know that it's a typical plot with this weird corporation.
I don't
People
know.
are
Some
dying.
people would pay to have themselves covered in slime. It's a feature for some
So
people.
basically, Mark Zuckerberg or someone like him is basically working with Centaurans because they're going to give us a new planet where all the smart people can live, and you can do what you want to the Earth. Okay, that's what he
Yeah.
wants, right? He wants all the highly genius people of the Earth to just
Right.
breed
Right.
and
Right.
go on their own planet. You can leave the stupid humans behind. I did not like him, but I guess he sort of redeems himself at the end of the episode. But yeah, and let's see. Oh wait, no wait, that's the next episode. But yeah, the Centauran stratagem. I don't have much to say about it. Just a good two-parter. We get to see the return of Martha Jones. She actually joins the Doctor on another adventure.
Yep. Yep.
With Donna Noble, which was interesting. So yeah, and that's where the Doctor is in the future, and he gets his hand caught in a machine. The machine clones his DNA, and out pops his daughter, and she says, "I'm your daughter."
Yeah.
I
So,
did.
so, so this planet, this is how they reproduce. They take DNA from somebody, and it's not an exact clone. They alter it, so there is genetic differentiation. But this, they and they take DNA whenever they can because they want to keep it as
What's her name?
genetically
Jenny?
diverse as possible. Jenny.
Yeah.
And so this is literally the female clone of the Doctor, who is essentially his daughter. I think the episode was called "The Doctor's Daughter," wasn't it?
Yes.
And this cloning, because they're needed for they're fighting in a war, so they're basically born soldiers. They have a bunch of information, kind of like Demolition Man, where Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone are having stuff put into their brains while they're sleeping. Well, when she's born an adult, and with all this information, and yeah, she's basically the Doctor's daughter. Which
she's like, I'm a Time Lord. He's like, you don't know anything about our history or anything else. Like, he's like, no, you're not. I think he's kind of cold to her, I feel, at first, which I don't like that,
because and he explains why, right? This goes back to the whole Time War thing, right? He sees her as potentially his daughter,
and she's a soldier too, right? Because they're fighting.
And she is a soldier fighting in a war,
yep.
Which is everything he's rejecting.
Yep,
he's got a problem with that. Yeah,
I'll say this: they play on that during the Capaldi era too, when Clara's new boyfriend, and because he doesn't like her date because he was a former military, right? And then the boyfriend says, "Oh, I know what type you are. You are an officer," and he throws it right back at him, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, but
yeah.
Moving on to
well, we should finish up her story because
finish up her story.
So the actress, and somebody help me, I don't know her name. She is Peter Davison's daughter, so she is, as an actress, the Doctor's daughter as well. In real life,
oh yeah,
David Tennant,
Georgia Moffat, daughter of Fifth Doctor Peter Davidson, was cast as the character. That's weird. Okay.
Yes, and she ended up marrying David Tennant.
Yes.
So now the Doctor's father-in-law is the Doctor.
It's weird. Well, anyway, they weird, make a cute couple.
Yes, I just thought that was really, really cool. So and when he says you were my doctor, and you're going to be my father-in-law.
All right.
Cool. Now we meet the Doctor's wife.
River. The introduction of River's song. The thing teased with this is they're meeting each other backwards. This is the last time she's supposed to meet him. This is the first time he's meeting her. They keep meeting each other in reverse, right? Yeah. Yes. The silence in the library. Yes.
I know a lot of people don't care for this storyline. I kind of love it. I have compared this to, if you've ever read the book, you can watch the movie, but I think the book is better. The Time Traveler's Wife. Mm-hmm. It's a story that I believe predates this. It's told in a linear fashion from the point of view of a little girl who meets an adult man, a naked adult man, on her property. She goes and gets him some clothes and whatnot, and befriends him, brings him food, brings him clothes, because he keeps showing up from time to time. Eventually you find out that this is her future husband. They get married when they are appropriately aged, and she finds out the reason he time travels is it's some sort of a development in human development, that he is able to travel through time, but he has zero control over it. It's kind of like epilepsy. It's a seizure that he has, and he feels it coming on, and then he disappears, and he ends up in a random place in time, naked, right? Because he doesn't take anything with him, and a lot of great play with time travel, but it's all closed loop. Can't change anything. If it happens, it happens. Nothing that can be done about it. Brilliant, beautiful, tragic story. I highly, highly recommend it. I mean, I guess the easiest way is to just get the movie, invest 2 hours, but you are doing yourself a disservice. The book is so, so good. But that's kind of in a lot of ways the same story here. So, as you point out, this is the first time the Doctor is meeting this River Song, not understanding how she knows so much about him. But what she does know is she will never meet him again in her own. She's had a whole history with him.
Yes.
And she has actually married him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know. And there's this one point where I think it's this very scene you're showing. She says, I didn't recognize you at first. You're so young. And he goes, oh, I'm really not. She goes, oh, you really are. This is the youngest I've ever seen you, she says.
I believe Alex Kingston is the actress that plays her, right?
Yes. Yes.
I remember from ER.
Was it ER? Yeah. I was going to say, I knew it was a medical drama show here in the States. I couldn't remember.
For a few seasons.
She's not a companion, but she's one of my favorite people in the Hoovers.
She kind of is a companion. She's kind of a companion in the same way.
She's kind of a Time Lord, but not really. But she's sort of like
she's.
Well, you don't even know that at this point. You assume
she's important. Yes, she has.
You don't even know who she is at this point.
No. And that's kind of cool because you see her from the Doctor's subjective point of view.
Yeah,
right?
Stephen Moffat wrote these. I got my Hi Sweeties from.
Pardon me?
She's where I got my Hi Sweeties from.
That is, yes. When Netter's saying hi, sweetie, to you in the chat, she basically got that from this character, yeah.
But so we'll have more to say about River Song later. But this episode is midnight. I'm bringing this episode up. This is when the Doctor, they're on some alien planet. He decides to go on this
damn episode, yeah.
This is the Doctor screwing up. That's how I look at this. He figures I can reason with these humans. I can, and he's not understanding human nature here.
He finds himself having to deal with a bit of mob mentality. The whole,
and he can't break through.
Scared, people trying to survive kind of thing. The paranoia of people in a desperate situation.
Yeah, this is something that happens to human beings, and he doesn't, and it does get solved. It doesn't get solved by him. It gets solved by I think the lady hostess that throws the possessed alien thing out of the lock with her and sacrificed herself. He doesn't save the day. He doesn't save the day here.
This is a recurring theme in Doctor Who too. You always have the heroic person, kind of like Kylie Minogue. Another human who just sacrifices herself because it's the right thing to do, and ends up being the hero when the Doctor couldn't be.
Yeah. So a good episode actually. Kind of a standalone, but it was good and kind of dark for a Doctor Who episode. And then this episode where is this like a kind of a what was the name of that Christmas movie with Jimmy Stewart?
It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
Like if Donna Noble had never met the Doctor. I think that's what this is. Yes.
So
everything starts going wrong. Yes.
It's called, I want to call it Left Turns or something. A Left Turn or something.
I think that's what it's called.
And it's the whole difference of at one very specific point in her life, whether she turns left or she turns right. If she goes left, she goes to a job interview and ends up eventually meeting the Doctor. If she turns right, none of that happens, and history is entirely different. And so what ends up happening is that because she never met the Doctor, she wasn't there to
stop something from
stop
happening.
prevent the Doctor from dying. Basically, she basically saved the Doctor's life when he was fighting the Ragnar.
And that's right, because she wasn't there, everything goes wrong, and things start
because the
going wrong
Doctor
on Earth.
dies, all the episodes we've seen after that, we see the outcome of that. There's a situation where a Soltaran ship blows up, and destroys all of London.
Her and her family get moved into these cramped little apartments. Remember that? And I remember her dad, because I think I want to say it's like a Pakistani family living next door, and they're singing late at night. And Don's like,
and her grandfather saying, "You know what? This is just like during the Blitz."
Well, you know what he did? He went over to them, and then he starts singing with them. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then they take the other family away, and he's like, "Oh no, it's happening again." And I'm like, "Is this like a Holocaust remembrance? Like, why are they taking this other family away?" And it's this weird thing, because he was in World War II. He must know World War II, because he says it's happening again, and he's all happy because he finds out that the Americans were going to help England, and then the trouble is that America got hit by the alien baby fat thing. Instead of being in England, it was over in America, and the Doctor was America gets screwed up because of that, and it's all this
and it's a brilliant thought experiment of, we've established all this lore for all these years. What would have actually happened if the Doctor wasn't around to stop all these things? And they play it all out. And dude, at this point, this is where I became, well, you got to understand that we were introduced to Wilfred here, her grandfather, back in that Christmas episode. Back in the
we've seen him before,
very first episode, he was selling newspapers at a stand. And he met the Doctor on Christmas.
Yeah.
And then you find out later that he's her grandfather, and so on and so forth. Yeah. He is my favorite Doctor Who companion.
Okay.
Oh, was he really a companion?
Yes, he was.
I guess you could argue by the end of this Tennant run, he is a companion. Yes,
absolutely, he is. Yes, absolutely.
But it's mainly about the finale, though. We're gonna get to that.
So, and you keep seeing that Donna, it's like she knows something's wrong. Something's not right. And she can't figure out what it is. And every now and again, someone will say to her, "There's something on your back." And she'll go to look, and she almost sees something, and she doesn't right away. But only to find out that there's this alien something or other on her.
It's like a big spider.
Yeah, that was sent to change history or whatever, and is doing this to her. And if she is able to get this thing off of her, she'll
enter Rose Tyler to help her out.
Right, Rose. Yeah, do you have a slide for that where Rose shows up?
No.
Okay, so what ends up happening is all kinds of craziness is going on, and Rose Tyler shows up, and she doesn't know who Rose Tyler is, but Rose knows who she is, and she tells her what she needs to know to shake this thing off, so that suddenly she's shot back to where she was. She was like having her palm read or something in an alien bazaar or something like that. And the faker that was, supposed to be reading her fortune is the one who put this thing on her back. And she casts this thing off of her. This giant insect thing falls off of her back, and the woman is blown back, and she's like, "Oh my God, who are you? What are you? How could you fight back against this or whatever?" And it's one of those self-contained episodes, but it's pretty weighty in the alternate, timeline concept of it. But you do realize then that there's something very special about Donna Noble that we haven't tapped into just yet.
So here we have the big finale. Everyone's back, including Sarah Jane Smith from the spin-off show The Sarah Jane Adventures, Jack Harkness from the spin-off show Torchwood, including people from those shows too, like they're the actors from the other shows as well.
Right.
It's a big reunion because the big bad is back.
And what's really great is you have everyone realizing that the Daleks, are involved, and when Sarah Jane and Captain Jack hear the voice of the Daleks, exterminate, they're both like, "Oh my God, we're dead. That's it. There's no hope.
They have barriers set up in their areas to try to prevent them going in.
And Sarah Jane hugs her adoptive son. She's
Yeah.
like, "I'm so sorry you never had a chance."
Technically, he is her son because he has some tiny portion of her DNA in him.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
yeah, I'd
yes,
forgotten that.
yes.
And Captain Jack does the same thing with his companions. It's like, "I'm sorry, I can't, stop this," or whatever. It's a very dramatic,
Well, it's sad because a few of them got killed on Torch with the prior season too, so they're already reeling from that.
Right.
And so here we are. Miss Davros comes back and he's like, the voice is different, but the arrogance is the same.
Yeah.
And then he introduces himself as Davros, Lord and Master of and Creator.
So
Lord and Creator
last
of the
time we
Dalek
saw
race.
the Daleks, they were, cannibalizing humans to make a new kind of Dalek, and that didn't work out. You find out that they've gone and found they've used time
Davros.
travel to go
pull Davros was saved in the Time War. You find out by Dalek Khan.
Saved him from the Time War. And in return, Davros has been using bits of his own cells to create new, pure Daleks because he's a Khaled. So
and he opens his chest up. You see like almost bones on the inside.
And he's literally taken.
And he goes. I remember what he says though, and yet it was a simple Dalek that could do what emperors and Time Lords couldn't, and save me from because David Tennant says that's impossible. I saw you die your ship crashed into the Nightmare Child or something. He was like, and he's like, I tried to save you, and he says yes, but it was someone stronger than you, and he said Dalek Khan. It cost him his mind, but
in the upper right there, which is interesting because it looks like the same kind of setup as they had for the Emperor Dalek in the previous.
So Davros is back, and isn't he trying to align something to like? Does he want to destroy the universe?
They are stealing planets from different points in space time, which the Doctor's like, this missing planet, it's always been a legend. They had taken them, and the Earth was one of them. And that's why everyone's here. The Daleks have taken them. And what he's doing is he's rearranging them in a very specific way to create this gravitational engine that will unmake the universe. And then he can remake the universe in the Daleks' image.
Martha Jones is at unit, and she's in charge of pulling some kind of plug on some device, which I'm sure someone will mention.
Yeah, so
it will actually destroy the entire Earth, but it will stop his plan.
Is it Torchwood or Unit has access to a doomsday device called the Oscar Hagen,
which sounds like ice cream.
Yeah. So Oscar Hagen.
Who created that? The Doctor says, a man named Oscar Hagen.
There's no one named Oscar Hagen, yeah. It's a device that will destroy the Earth. But it's meant to be used in a situation like this where if there's no other choice, for the greater good, better that everyone die, use it. And they're getting ready to use it. It's like, if it'll save the universe, we'll destroy the Earth.
The Doctor didn't like that. Remember, he's like, get rid of that device later. He's not. Yeah. It's
but,
one of those
things. Again, he gets all, preachy about it. It's like, hey, dude, you wiped out your own people and the Daleks. Don't, look down on someone who's willing to do the same thing. How is it any different, really?
I like the actor they got to play Davros. He was a great replacement. Very menacing, very sinister. I don't know who's the Doctor's arch nemesis. Someone say the Master, but I don't know. Davros is up there. The Doctor gets shot by a Dalek, and he says, "I'm going to regenerate." Yeah. But instead of regenerating, because I guess he has that hand still.
Yeah. So what happens? He realizes that he can heal himself. Using his regeneration energy. He doesn't have to use all of the regeneration energy. So what he does is he takes his regeneration energy and puts it into the severed hand from his first episode where he fought the cigarette.
And then we get another David Tennant, but this
Yes.
is a human David Tennant. It's not
Yeah.
like a mortal David Tennant, not like a Time Lord David Tennant.
Right.
Yes.
And this is this has to do with he's human because he's part like Donna Noble, right? He gets his humanity from Donna, but he gets all of the Doctor's memories.
Yes. And he argues that this Doctor, I think, switches some switch to kill all the Daleks. And he says this Doctor was born out of war.
Yeah.
But I think when everyone goes there, and I think Donna Noble, as a result, gets the Doctor's intelligence, right? And she becomes very smart and reverses
yeah. So whereas he becomes human Doctor, Donna gets all of that time information.
Yes.
Just like when Rose took in all of the time energy from the Eye of Harmony, it's burning up Donna Noble and she's going to die. So the Doctor has to take that from her again. Otherwise, she's going to die. But in doing so, it's not exactly the same. He literally, instead of removing it from her, he goes into her mind, kind of like a, I don't know, Time Lord mind meld kind of thing, and closes off the memories of anything related to literally any contact they ever had. She's got to forget the Doctor. She's got to forget her adventures with the Doctor, because it'll remind, all of these memories would come back to her and it would burn up her mind. And
but I love the line that her mom says to the Doctor, but she was better with you.
Yes.
Because before that, I'm sorry for the language, but before that, she was a bitch.
She really was. And everyone
she was aimless in her life. That's another thing, which many people find themselves.
She was very shallow, and she became a better person. In fact,
she saved the world. She saved the universe. Let's be honest
here. and Wilfred was like, all these things she did, and she can't know. I'll have to remember it all for her. It's just very, very
tragic.
touching.
Things do not work out for Donna. Everything always works out for Rose. Rose gets to go home with the human Doctor and take her back to the alternate.
In fact, and she says something like, "He's not you, though," and he says, "But he needs you. That's very much me."
And she makes out with him.
Yeah, kind of. Well, she says, and the way she establishes that this is as much the Doctor as he is. She says that last day on Bad Wolf Bay, you didn't get to finish saying what you were going to say to me. What were you going to say? And he leans in and whispers in her ear. We don't get to know.
Darn it.
But she gets to know. And she starts crying and she hugs him. And he goes back to that other universe with her.
Yep, there they are.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I guess this other universe gets a Doctor. He's a mortal Doctor. He'll die like a human.
Yeah, he's gonna grow old and die just like any other human.
It's still better than, and she'll probably marry him and who knows, start a family. Yeah. Okay. And this is poor Donna. This is poor Donna. Right. She's not going to remember anything. I felt bad for her. Moving on to Doctor Who does no more series anymore, but we get 4 specials. Do you remember this? Yeah. Actually 5 technically, because the last one is a 2-parter. This one is called The Next Doctor, I think it's called.
Yeah. And you literally think, see, this is a little bit of a bait and switch. You're thinking, oh, this is a cool idea, right? We get to meet a future incarnation of the Doctor before the actual regeneration.
It's a pity. It's just the actor who played the governor on The Walking Dead. I thought maybe we might.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I wonder who it was. Who is it? David Morrissey. That's who played it. Yes.
So when he introduces himself to David Tennant, he says, "I am the Doctor."
Yes.
And he, at first, the Doctor takes it in stride. Oh, this must be a future incarnation of myself. He's had these kinds of encounters before, so okay. And, he talks about his TARDIS and his sonic screwdriver and so forth. And he's like, okay, so you're the Doctor. And he goes along with him, not telling him that I am your predecessor or whatever, just going along as if
I think he makes some line that sometimes the Time Lords put their Time Lord essence in a stopwatch. Do you have one of those? Like he's trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah. Exactly, because there are gaps in his memory, so he's like trying to help him out.
And the Cybermen in this episode, and there's a wonderful scene with the Cybermen all walking up these stairs, and David Tennant knocking into one of them, and they all fall over like tin soldiers. Hardy,
Right.
har. This is why I don't like the Cybermen of this era. They're not menacing like they were.
Okay, fair enough.
This comic relief. Instead, they have this lady leader who's like, I don't know what she is, a witch or something. I don't know. Anyway, turns out he's not a doctor.
She's a human female who is an opportunist who sides with the Cybermen and ends up becoming their
leader. Okay, whatever, empress or whatever. Anyway,
no, she refers to herself as an emperor. They purposely did the gender bending.
Oh, for the love of Mike, it's all starting here. Okay, anyway, so he I don't know. I just remember that he turns out that he's not the doctor.
It turns out he's not. He's a normal human who, I don't remember what the mechanism was, but he ended up getting a bunch of memories of the doctor.
Okay.
Portions of his memory.
There was he had a case, and inside the case there were these discs or something.
Right, some sort of memory discs or whatever, and he ended up. And so he thought he would. And what's funny is, and he's literally doing these adventures,
right? Because he had amnesia, and he thought that these discs were his memories,
right? Okay. And so when he refers to his TARDIS, it's actually a hot air balloon, and it's a different acronym. And he, says, "What about your sonic screwdriver?" And he pulls out a screwdriver, an actual screwdriver.
Funny.
Goes, how is that sonic? And he wraps it on the wall. He goes, "See, it makes noise. That's sonic." Yeah, and
funny.
But he literally is like all the previous companions, a normal person trying to do what the doctor did to try and stop the alien invasion.
He could have played the doctor.
He could have. Yeah.
He went on to be on The Walking Dead and said he was the villain, the governor on that series. But anyway,
great. Yeah.
I do like the end of this Christmas episode, like when the doctors leave. You know what, Doctor? One thing I know about you is I don't think people tell you thank you enough. So him and the crowd, they all thank the doctor before he leaves.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Which was nice. And that was on Christmas Day. We get an Easter special.
The Bionic Woman.
Yeah, the Bionic Woman. Again, this is them teasing me. Another actress I like who I would have liked to have seen become a Doctor Who companion. Doesn't happen.
Yep. This actress was in the reboot of the Bionic Woman,
yes,
which was at least in part written by Cameron.
See if I can find her name, Michelle Ryan.
There you go.
I think that's who that is. Let me double check on that. Planet of the Dead. Yep, that's Michelle Ryan. Yes, didn't have an English accent on the Bionic Woman show, but she's English. Yes, and she's like a cat burglar in this episode.
Yep.
I don't even remember what this episode was. I remember not being impressed with it. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I liked her, and I would have liked to have seen her on more Doctor Who specials.
Yeah.
But oh well. She's like
she was one of those really sharp, cocky type of companions who really could hold her own with the Doctor.
Yeah.
They sparred, mentally and verbally sparred a lot. It was really pretty cool.
Yeah. So then we get to the big one.
So I had mentioned earlier that, in the absence of the Time Lords, the Doctor has become arrogant. He's the last of the Time Lords. He's done so many things. He's done so much. The rules don't apply to him anymore. He doesn't answer to any Time Lords anymore.
Nope.
Why do I have to abide by the rules of the universe? I can rewrite those rules if I so choose. This was the Waters of Mars.
This is a fixed point in human history.
Yeah.
This is a
we through internet news articles or whatever, we find out about this this Martian colony that it's a failed colony because everyone ends up dying. Bit of a mystery what happens there.
But the death of this colony inspires the descendant of one of these original women trying to settle it, and she decides to then pilot the first interstellar craft out of the solar system.
Which leads to all of humans' future history.
Yeah.
So you can't go changing that. And the Doctor shows up there and tries to get away. He tries to not get involved when he realizes that this disease, I suppose.
Living water in a
living water.
living disease, intelligent disease in the water, looks at the earth, so much water on the earth. It can basically take over water, and that's the end of the human race.
And the people on the colony that are getting infected realize we can't allow this to get to Earth.
There's a brief reference of the Ice Warriors. They had left a warning about this, I think, before they left Mars.
Another one of those.
Explain why they left Mars. Yes.
Yeah. It's like Linda Blair.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Darth Plato is saying this was a very scary episode. Yes, absolutely true. In fact, it reminded me a little bit of, if you've ever seen the John Carpenter film Prince of Darkness, where the devil or whatever, spreads itself through water, and you'll have one person that's infected go and spray water from its mouth into someone else's.
Yep. That's Lindsay Duncan as the chief of the colony, I think. I do love this British actress. I've seen her in a lot of productions.
Yep.
I don't know. She has an intensity about her. The Doctor ends up saving her and two of the remaining people and gets them in the TARDIS, but she was supposed to die because she is supposed to be the inspiration for her descendant, for her granddaughter. And the Doctor's like, I can change history. I don't have to.
He says, I am the last of my kind. I am the Doctor Triumphant.
She is very angry at him over this, and it's weird. It's like she knows something. She holds a gun at him, almost like she's going to kill him, because I think she realizes that what he did was a mistake. She ends up shooting herself instead, so she still dies, and that tragedy will still impact.
And so the only change that happens is, instead of her having been recorded as having died on the colony, she died after returning to Earth. Yeah. But then, of course, that raises all the questions about how did she get back to Earth and all this kind of stuff, which, still fulfills the whole mystery, so that the descendant still, goes and investigates.
The Doctor realizes he made a major screw up. He got way too arrogant, and that this is going to be a...
And here's another example of someone sacrificing herself again for the greater good.
He realized... In some ways, the Doctor is the villain in this episode. I almost thought I heard the Master music playing in one scene, when he was doing his stuff.
And this is like a kick in the ass that humbles him out.
Which is what I like about the Doctor, that he's not always this perfect, good character. Like I would argue in that Inferno episode, the humans are doing all this stuff, but he's also messing around the TARDIS to get off Earth, and that's how he slides into the alternate universe. But he wasn't doing that out of altruism. He's doing that because he's doing that.
Good point.
Because he was tired of living on Earth. But then we get the big 2-part finale. I think he sees an Ood too, and almost like the Ood realized what he'd done.
Yeah,
the Ood are probably a lot wiser and smarter than we gave them credit for. They might be a very high alien race, and they were like,
So there's this is a little bit. He starts out this episode a little bit broody, right? And he meets up with some Ood, some unmodified Ood. These are ones that haven't been lobotomized.
Yes,
and in their natural state, their society involves telepathic connection and communication through a kind of song. And the Ood understand that he's going through something, and they say to him, but your song is going to be coming to an end.
Yes.
And then they make some reference to Dr. Donna and, some prophecies about him.
Yeah. And I know that I think they're bad aliens doing stuff behind the scenes, but the real bad alien here is the Master, who somehow
who didn't die. He somehow came
back. He's wandering around like a homeless man in London, and he's
just like the 96 Master, who somehow survived by forming a symbiotic relationship with an alien snake type thing. He's found a way. We don't know exactly what that way is, but he's burning through
his regeneration
energy just to stay alive.
The doctor's
And
telling him not to do that, and like he's
this
hurting
is
people too. I think he kills
right.
people doing that.
He is kind of like his metabolism is so out of whack. He has to eat constantly, and he'll eat anything, any organic thing,
including people, I guess.
Yeah.
So you notice who's on the far right? It's your friend.
Yep. It's Wilfred. Again, always willing to help the doctor. He shows up, and he's like, Donna can't see you. You gotta stay away. And she starts to get her memories back in this episode, which, I thought you said this would kill her. Well, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. They talk their way around it. But Wilf, I believe, makes some comment about, well, it's Christmas. I always expect to see you at Christmas because all these Christmas episodes with him.
And then the Master does something where he fixes some device to try to turn every human on Earth into the Master. Well, I'm going to create the Master race, and it's going to be all copies of him.
Exactly. And literally, people in the world all over, they just, and then suddenly they're him. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, there he is. So this is his latest plan, but that's not all. Apparently, the Time Lords are observing all this too.
Yeah, my least favorite James Bond. Sorry, Michael, if you're still here. But
Timothy Dalton as Rassilon, who they resurrected, I guess, for the Time War as well.
Right.
And you see those two Time Lords behind him. They were ones that didn't want to do this final step to win the Time War. Because remember Rassilon?
Which is very interesting. Yes, Rassilon was a villain. Yes, he was very important to the creation of Time Lord society, but he was also a big villain.
Well, I think Time Lords are arguing that we have to come to an end to save the universe, and then Rassilon's like no, and then he disintegrates. One of the Time Lords arguing with him. Remember that? That was a thing.
Yeah,
we're not.
And
going
these
to die.
two, I believe they're both female.
No, I think one's a man, one's a woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think one's
and there's been a lot of speculation. There's one that thinks that the female was like the Doctor's mother or somehow related to the Doctor or whatever. The whole thing about covering their face, that people have tried to draw correlations to the Weeping Angels. I don't know. I don't know, but they never really explain.
Time Lords are up to no good. To preserve themselves, they don't want to lose the Time War.
But in the trope of classic Who, the Time Lords are not necessarily the good guys. They're definitely not the good guys in this one.
Well, they can be either. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna disagree with you on this, Darth Plato. It was confirmed by someone saying something. Maybe it was Moffat or Davies or something that said it. I'm sorry, if it's not on screen, it's not canon.
So I know that
just like when I said about J.K. Rowling, she decided someone was gay, after the fact. It's like, you didn't put it in the story, so it's not canon until you put it in the story.
Well, he could be or couldn't be, because he just wasn't really about his sexuality, at least not in the books. Anyway, okay, what was I going to say? Moving on to, so I know the Doctor manages to condemn the Master and the Time Lords to their fate. I think he sends the Master in with them, stops the world from getting destroyed.
So what he finds out, this is very interesting. Mm-hmm. He's put himself in a situation where he's going to have to kill the Master to stop all this. But in the conversation that happens, he starts to, and of course, Rassilon, doing the whole Republic serial villain, telling his whole thing. Yes. You find out that the reason the Master is the way he is, the reason he's insane, is Rassilon created a situation where, so we get a bit of a flashback to every Time Lord has to look into the untempered schism, the Eye of Harmony.
Yes.
And they see time laid out in front of them. He said, some go insane and some, I don't remember what he said, and some run. And what did you do? Well, I ran. It implies that this led him to the life that he lives, and it drove the Master insane. Well, you find out that there was something that Rassilon had put into the untempered schism specifically for the master that got into his head and drove him insane. Dun 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 dun. And he's constantly hearing this, like having tinnitus in your brain all your life. The sound of a Time Lord's heartbeat, the quadruple beat of two hearts, and this drove him insane. But it sets up what they needed him to be for the purpose of the Time War. And when the master realizes this, he gets pissed, and not at the doctor, at Rassilon. So he dives at Rassilon and basically ends up saving everybody by taking out Rassilon and all of the remaining Time Lords and throwing them back into the Time War.
But the problem is that your guy.
The Doomsday device is still, ticking, and I don't remember what the technical.
He has to switch places with Donna's.
Yeah, so there are these two chambers. You can't have them both open at the same time. Wilfred is in one, which is protecting him from the whatever radiation or whatever, and the doctor is in the other one, and you can't save them both. Kind of a situation.
Well, if I recall, Wilfred gets stuck in one, and the doctor looks at somebody and goes, "It had to be you, didn't it?"
Yeah.
And then he has to get into the other one.
Wilfred realizes that if the doctor doesn't let him out, he's going to die. But the only way to get out is for the doctor to go into the other chamber, let Wilfred out, and then he's going to die.
Yes.
And when Wilfred realizes that, he's like, then just forget about me. Don't do it. I'm an old man. I've lived my life. You're so much more important. And the doctor just can't do it. He's like, no, I can't do that. And he even tries to do that. He tries to be an asshole. He's like, yeah, who are you? You're nobody.
Yeah.
And at first, Wilfred's like kind of hurt by that, but he's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's very, very, just tear-filled kind of things. He's like, no, don't do this. You are too important. And the doctor ends up sacrificing himself. And after the radiation is dissipated or whatever, the doctor comes out and he goes, see, you're okay. He goes, yeah, well, I've absorbed too much radiation.
He's going to die. So in his last remaining times, he does some visits. I think that there's he
goes on a closeout tour, right? Where he takes the TARDIS and he goes and visits different points in time to literally say goodbye to all of his.
I think he stops, he helps out, I think Mickey Smith and Donna Noble, who are now in Mickey Smith and Martha Jones are now in a relationship and they're fighting a Centaur, I think he helps them. He gives Donna Noble.
Every time he does it without directly interacting with them, but they see him at a distance.
He gets Donna Noble a lottery ticket for her wedding present.
Yeah, that's the last thing he does. So what he does is he.
No, I thought the last thing he does was visit somebody else.
Well, yes,
a younger Rose Tyler who doesn't know him yet and says, "I think you're here. This is going to be fantastic."
Wait, you're glossing over something.
Whatever.
So Martha and Mickey are fighting the Sultarans. They realize that the doctor's just helped them. They turn and look, and they go to thank him, and they realize he's got this very grim expression. They both realize something's wrong. Another situation happens with Jack and Captain Jack and the bloke Alonzo from the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor passes a note to Captain Jack, says his name's Alonzo.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, did you know I'm a little bit psychic? Really? Yeah, your name's Alonzo. Oh, yeah. And they get to talking, and they apparently hit it off or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, he continues on, and then he shows up at Donna's wedding. And he doesn't talk to her because he can't, refresh your memory or whatever. He says, I just came to give a wedding present leave a wedding present.
I'm paying back a debt.
I'm
I once
paying back a debt,
borrowed
that's right.
a quid off a bloke named whatever her father's name was.
Donna's father.
Yeah.
Used it to buy a lottery ticket, which is his wedding gift to her. Gives it to the mom and Wilfred. And at first, Wilfred's like, see, I told you were going to be fine. And I don't know if he directly communicates the fact that it's been a long time for you. This just happened for me, less than an hour ago,
Okay.
And they give the lottery ticket to Donna, and she's like, what a cheap gift. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll win something. And Donna's mom and grandfather realize exactly what it was. And they're like, oh my gosh.
She's going to win the big one, yeah.
When Wilfred looks and sees the doctor, he just bursts out in tears. And Wilfred is my favorite companion. Oh, I'm fine.
No crying on stream.
And then he has one last visit, and that is to...
He goes and he meets Rose Tyler before Rose Tyler meets him. Yeah. And so he has an opportunity to say goodbye to her as well.
Happy New Year. You're going to have a heck of a year, I think he says.
Yeah,
so, yes.
Exactly. She has no idea, which is kind of funny because when she finally does meet him, it's going to be Christopher Eccleston. So by the time she sees him as him, she doesn't even remember this.
Plus, it's New Year's Eve. Maybe she was drinking a bit, so she's not going to, how's she going to remember it? Because this was the New Year's special. They did a Christmas and New Year's special.
Yeah.
And then he's starting to...
and what does he say? He goes into the TARDIS after running into everybody. And he before he walks into the TARDIS, he turns and looks around and goes, I don't want to go. And you really do feel like it's David Tennant saying, I don't want to go, even though it was his decision to end his time. In fact, he did it a little early. We're going to get into Matt Smith because some of Matt Smith's stories were actually written for David Tennant.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
And then we get Matt Smith.
Yeah.
And then that's a story for another week.
Yeah.
Now, we will try to wrap up next week. I may not be spending as much detail on the Smith and Capaldi eras, but we will talk about them. How's that sound?
We'll hit a couple of good episodes. There are a lot of bad episodes.
I almost want to hit the bad episodes to rant about them.
In fact, I'm less... The Matt
it's
Smith
not his
era,
fault. It's not his fault. Yeah. He's a good
Matt
actor.
Smith era is not about Matt Smith. The Matt Smith era is about the companions. It's about Amy, Rory, and River Song. That's what it's all about. The Doctor is just ancillary, almost.
No, it's also about the Impossible Girl.
Oh, damn it.
All right, but that is Doctor Who. Darth Plato has a super chat.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for $2 to Darth Plato. One of the other companions he goes to see is the daughter of the
granddaughter
teacher when he was human, when he was John Smith. She's writing a book about
her grandmother's experience meeting the mysterious man and falling in love. And Simon Pegg is there too, because I think she's basically playing the character from Spaced. The character from Space is the descendant of the woman he met in 1914. Yes,
that's kind of neat.
She always wanted to be a writer. That was her big thing on Space. She was always trying to be a writer. And, the other guy was more into writing comics, and it was just a thing on the show. Yes,
I did like this idea that if you're not going to die immediately, you're not going to change immediately, you have an opportunity to go and revisit and tie up loose ends. It's
okay.
When you have a time machine, you do have some time.
So that was David Tennant, and at this point, we had moved away from Sci-Fi Channel, and we were now on BBC America. That's where those specials aired.
Right, exactly.
And it was the first time they were shooting Doctor Who in HD, so they weren't using film anymore. They were using HD cameras for the specials. Yes.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah. And I don't want to hear any bull crap that Klingons don't have tear ducts, therefore they don't cry, because Kahless filled the oceans with his tears.
Good old Kahless.
I'm sorry, that Vulcan had no idea. He made crap up. Everyone
Vulcans
just assumed,
don't like Klingons.
Everyone takes Spock at his word. He made crap up all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
How about the new Tennant episodes recently?
I haven't seen them. I heard about them.
Oh, no, I didn't watch any of them. No.
We're going to get into a little bit maybe why.
David Tennant was reprising the role of the Doctor. He'd flown headfirst off the woke train. I don't care.
Well, plus you were still angry about Doctor Who, and
I stopped watching Doctor Who after The Timeless Child. When they decided to take all the canon and shit can it, I was done. I'm out.
We're basically going to be covering Capaldi and Smith, and then we're probably going to end it now for a while. But the idea behind this was I wanted to do a discussion on Doctor Who, and then I was originally just going to do New Who, and Troy said, let's do everything. So I'm like, okay, well, now I have to go do everything. So here we go.
There you go. So you're getting one more. You're getting Matt Smith and Capaldi, and we're done.
We're truncating it, too, because I got to get up for work on next Saturday. But I don't have to work tomorrow, which is good because we have gone over 3 hours, but I hope you all have enjoyed it.
Yep. And so tomorrow, let's see. Well, Ned and I have stuff to do outside the house tomorrow, but tomorrow evening, join us over on Netter's Network at 9 o'clock Central, 10 Eastern. We will be watching the original Footloose. I came to be reminded recently that there was a a remake in 2011. Screw that crap.
I'm kind of curious about that remake.
I am not at all. I did not see it, and I have no interest in it.
Are you going to play your Kevin Bacon game? Because isn't Netter a part of that thing?
Yes, Netter is
3 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
How many degrees?
3.
3 degrees removed from Kevin Bacon, and we'll explain how. Let's see. So that's Saturday. Sunday, what are we going to be talking about on Geeky Geezers?
We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do.
There's more Switch 2 news. There's stuff about Sweet Baby Inc.
Oh, yeah.
The gaming side of things. There's the Wednesday is getting another season, which I still have to watch the prior season. And we got some interesting stuff. Oh, and of course the chicken jockey stuff that's been going on in movie theaters. And you laugh now. You're not going to be laughing when you're trying to watch The Accountant Part 2, which actually looks like a good movie. And then a bunch of rowdy teens come in and start doing chicken jockey because they already screwed up the Minecraft theater. So they're just going to start. I don't know what's going to happen, but it'd be funny if they start going into other theaters of other movies and just started messing with everybody.
We'll talk about it on Sunday. Yeah. So that's Sunday. Monday, for members only. If you are not a member and you wish to be, remember it's only about $2 a month. We will be watching the original 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I thought it was appropriate after since this week AMC is removing the Rachel Zegler abortion from their theaters.
Woohoo!
So it's they're like it's just not worth it to us anymore.
Done. Minecraft destroyed it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things destroyed it. I don't think it could have done worse. It's just amazing. So that's what we'll be watching on Members Night at the Movies on Monday. Tuesday, no Blake 7 on Tuesday because we are going to have a special extended version of Live from Sparkwood in 21. Starting at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, we will be watching David Lynch's first feature film, Eraserhead, and trying to make some sense out of it.
If they erase her head, then how could she see or anything?
We'll get into that. I
need to get some rotisserie chicken to eat during that. movie. It's a
Dude,
joke.
dude,
No, man, I'm
don't
just
get me
saying.
started. So Thursday over on Netters Network, I don't know what the topic will be on Netters channel. We'll have something to talk about. Thursday, Netters Network, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, and next Friday, right back here for the final part of our Doctor Who retrospective. Doctor Who when it was still Doctor Who, although it was kind of already starting its downward descent.
Yes, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Though I do have some defense of one particular season, which I know some Whovians or Who fans didn't like. I actually liked one of the seasons that will be home next week.
All right. You're gonna put in your Jenna Coleman apologetics. I understand.
I will defend her final season. Yes, I thought it was a good season. Yes.
All right. And so anything that I failed to cover that I missed that I should have?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of stuff we failed to cover, but we only have so much time. Ha. See the time? I use time.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Damn you, Troy. Damn you, good sir. Damn you. What did I do that? No. Oh, because of No Blake 7. I'm sorry.
And when we're done with Doctor Who, we'll be doing our 35 week Smallville retrospective going on for the next 35 weeks. So look forward to that. I'm kidding, of course.
Because I am actually going to be doing standalone videos talking about.
There you go.
So that won't be a live stream. Those will be standalone videos.
That's fine. You'll be here forever.
Another quick announcement. So next week is the last week of April. Starting May 5th, I am planning to start a new feature on this channel. Every day at noon Central, 1 Eastern, I'm going to start a 1-hour live stream, and I'm calling it Liquid Lunch, Last Call Liquid Lunch.
Ooh.
And I will be choosing a different topic each day to talk about, and hope any of you that have a lunch period that you can hang out with me. It would be a lot of fun. So, and of course, if you can't be there live, you can always catch it on the rewatch when you get home that evening. So that's what I am planning a week from Monday.
Cool.
And you're the first to know about it. Well, I mean, Netter was the first to know about it, but all you guys here are the next to know about it. So cool. There you go. Netter, any last thoughts, any last words before I wrap it up?
I love you.
I love you too. Oh, but you were talking to the audience. That's fair.
No, they're Osmo.
They are Osmo. They absolutely are. Yeah, you guys are great. I couldn't do this without the support of fans like you. You are the best. You are fantastic.
I saw what you did.
Guys, thank you so much. Have a great one, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.
The neon lights are fading, closing time is near. Whispers in the corners, secrets shared sincere. The bartender's polishing the final glass. Time slips away like moving through the grass. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true. One more round, friends, from me and you. Let's toast to the night, to the stories we've spun. Here's to the laughter and to what's begun. The shadows are dancing as we linger still. Every clink of a glass, a memory to distill. Beneath this smoky haze, our feelings they unfurl. The jukebox serenades us with a final tune, crooning to the lonely and the lovers under the moon. With every soft note, the end draws ever near, but in this fleeting moment, there's nothing to fear. Last call for alcohol, make your dreams come true.